Well, good evening, everybody. I hope you're having a fabulous Tuesday evening here. At the same time, I hope you had a great day. We are tracking, and we kind of talked about this earlier, several little waves of storms, actually pretty active weather. I actually have rain chances pretty much every day in the forecast through the end of the week. But at least for right now, what I want to talk about is some isolated severe storms that have popped up here this afternoon and early this evening. This is not unexpected. We told you this was going to happen, and these are remain lower end type of severe thunderstorms. So when you think about a scale, upper end, middle and upper end would be like serious hail, serious winds, or serious tornado threats. These are mostly going to be hail threats, and mostly it could be some decent sized hail with some of these. I'm going to start, Mayor. I know there is one tornado warning up there to the north. I'll talk about it too, but at least right now I'm going to focus on the warnings. These are and the upper level winds are really slow on the atmosphere, are pretty weak in the atmosphere, so these are not moving very quickly. So we have slow-moving thunderstorms both north and south of Vernon. We got another little slow-moving severe thunderstorm up north of Frederick. And these storms maybe periodically will produce a little hail as they make their way to the east. There's a lot of energy in the atmosphere. Think about it. You walk outside, it's really, really humid and it's warm, and that actually gives these thunderstorms fuel. But that's the driving force, that and the fact that there's really no cap. But the limiting factor is the fact that the upper level winds are not very strong. So it's not, you don't get the same updraft organizations you would get if you'd had stronger winds with something like this. Then we'd be more concerned about it. But right now what we're looking at are just some isolated thunderstorms that are just kind of drifting across the area. Again, not moving very fast. There's one up here, and they do have some slight supercell structures. There might be just enough of a turn in the atmosphere to create that. Kind of seeing it up towards Tipton and Frederick. That storm, maybe some small hail. I don't see anything big with that. I'm looking at the winds too, and you don't really see. You do see some gusty winds in there near the Tipton area, or north of Tipton, and we'll see. And sometimes even though there's not a lot of shear out there, sometimes these storms can get pretty strong, and they can kind of do some deviant things, and that sometimes might lead to a little spin up. They've seen a couple of those with this storm. That's a pretty big supercell up to the north there, but the shear is slightly better up in Oklahoma than it is down here. Now we go south, and we see the one storm near Fargo increasing in size a little bit, so there may be a little hail there. Any of these storms could produce a little hail. I think the one south of Vernon doesn't look very impressive. So if you take a look at that, that shows me that the storm is kind of pulsing up and down a little bit, but that doesn't have a lot of hail in it. The one south of Raylan has a little hail in Thalia, and it's, again, drifting dewy. So I want you to notice something here. If you look at the storm, they look kind of funny looking. The updrafts and the what's called anvils are pointed in some funky directions here. So you got your updraft located about right there. So about right there is your updraft. But the winds are, again, in the atmosphere, they're not bad from the surface up to, above the Earth's surface, but then you get mid-levels and they get pretty weak, and they kind of turn more to this direction. So if you notice, the thunderstorms kind of look like this, and they're anvils, and they're kind of pointed to the south, but the upper level flow is still enough to push them to the east. That's an indication of weak upper level winds. When you see that, it shows the anvils kind of tilt a little bit and kind of sometimes can be south of the updraft. So that's what you're seeing there. But again, as these drift to the east, they could produce a little hail for the next couple of hours. I still think that once the sun sets, these are going to quickly diminish and go away. They will have a chance to at least make a run at Wichita County, but I think as they do so, they're going to be in the weakening stages, I think, as of right now anyway. So if they were to impact us here in the city, it probably wouldn't be until after 9 o'clock. So that's how fast they're moving. Down to the south, there's some other storms down near Knox City. These two have at least a little bit of a hail threat with them, not much. Could see some warnings pop here or there in some of those areas as they try to drift to the east a bit. Now back up into Oklahoma. Now, this is a pretty big supercell thunderstorm, and this thunderstorm is forming basically because you got a lot of instability or a lot of cape in the atmosphere feeding the updraft, and again, there's just enough shear maybe up here in Oklahoma and some storm interactions to create that bigger storm there. And you can tell how more developed. You don't see the updraft part of the thunderstorm or this part of the thunderstorm, the anvil, oriented to the south as much. The winds are a little bit stronger up here. And if we take a look at the velocities now, since there's still not a lot of stronger shear in the atmosphere, these are still not probably producing much in the way of tornadic. If there is anything tornadic with them, it's probably brief and it's kind of drifting to the south, southeast. There is a chance that this could move kind of down here to the south and maybe and there's a new tornado warning, and that actually comes out for Comanche County. But this storm is moving so slow that if it does make a run into Comanche County, it's going to take it a while to do so. I'm still not overly concerned about Comanche County at this time. I really think that the rotating updraft with that's going to stay part just west-southwest of you, and it's only drifting a little bit to the south and to the southeast. So again, we do have this little tornado warning there in its extreme western parts of Comanche County. In fact, if we zoom in, this is going to be well north of Cache and kind of out towards maybe just north of the Wichita Refuge there. But the rotation is still well west of you, and since it's not moving very quickly, I would be surprised if that one entered the picture anytime soon at all. So not too concerned about it. If there is a tornado, it's probably fairly brief and fairly weak. You can see the updraft in it though. Pretty well developed supercell nonetheless, and it's just kind of drifting there, and you can see it spinning. So it certainly isn't a bad storm, and it could produce something brief and something fairly weak. This is not going to be any significant type tornadoes. But, weak stuff is certainly possible. We'll watch and see what happens with that. Now, the storm down near Tipton is growing a bit. That one's really been Fargo as well has popped up quite a bit. They've grown, so you might be seeing a little increase in hail threats with some of these storms up here in northern Tillman County and maybe even down here in the northern parts of Wilbarger. And those two storms, they could wind up being in the same vicinity here. So there could be some hail threats both north and south of Frederick. In time, this one could drift towards Frederick and maybe give a little hail threat, but it remains to be seen. These are kind of pulsing up and down a bit, so this one may wind up being more of a small hail threat towards Frederick. Down to the south, these storms in Wilbarger County are showing signs of weakening quickly. I think that they're going to pass south of Vernon. Vernon, you've been in this warning, and I'm pretty sure it was for some hail. And there might be some gusty winds there, but it doesn't appear as though these storms are going to make it into Vernon at this time. They could pulse back up, but at least now it doesn't look like much there. Most of it's going to stay south of you, and we'll watch the storms to the south there. So I'll continue to watch these thunderstorms here pretty closely to see and make sure they don't do anything that's erratic. You might see a little bit of an updraft spin there north of Tipton, but even if it does produce a tornado, it'd be very brief. Actually, I can kind of see what's taking place here now. If you look, I'll stop this. There's a bit of a line in here. This is like some type of a boundary. And it seems like when these storms kind of hit this boundary, they spin a little bit. And I think that may be why the one up to the north spun too some. Plus, again, the shear's a little bit better up here. We go up to the north, and that storm's still probably not producing anything there. Of course, the Weather Service would indicate that with a pink tornado warning box if that were the case. So, but we'll watch both of these thunderstorms and see what they do. I'm not too concerned at this time about either one. And any updates will probably be done right here on Facebook Live. If we do any updates, it'd be a quick, brief update over on CBS. But as of right now, I'm not expecting to do that. So, all right, let's see if there are any questions from you guys out there and that's watching me here. So, actually, there's just none. There's not a lot of questions here, surprisingly. I figured we'd have more than this, but we don't have many. Got any questions? Now is the time to ask. So how are we looking in for Monte County? I don't even know that you'll even see the storm. I think the storms are going to die out before they get there. So I think you're looking just warm and humid in Monte. I think that you will be, you're going to be fine over there in Monte County. No issues there. And I don't think, slight chance Alney could get something as these storms try to fall apart, but I don't think you're going to see much. I don't even think we'll see much here in Wichita Falls. I could eat my words, but as of right now, I don't think so. Thank you, Carrot. I appreciate that. And I appreciate that. Yeah, Jaden and Cameron are very talented, very bright young men, and I'm very blessed and fortunate to have both of them. I've just really, I went a long time without a full weather team. It's just the nature of the business. It's just it's been really hard. Yeah, there is one up there in Tornado up there by Comanche, but it's actually west of Comanche, so I'm not really worried about it. And if it is producing anything, it's probably not producing anything very big. And I don't even know that the storm will even make it. The rotating part will even make it there. It's kind of drifting almost south. It's just not moving a whole lot. But there is a storm down to the south of that that's increased down here towards Tipton a bit, and that one might be something to watch. And that storm down here near Fargo has also kind of popped up a little bit. you know, they're trying to spin some, but there's just not a whole lot of shear. But there's a lot of instability, a lot of cape in the atmosphere today. But we don't have a lot of that helicity, and that's what you need. Sometimes, though, these storms, when they move south like this, they move erratically, and they kind of sometimes can move slowly. They can interact with some other things. It can sometimes allow them to spin some, but, you know, it doesn't look like a lot of rotation. Tomorrow night, we'll probably see a better chance for more widespread rain. I don't think it looks like a lot of severe, but there'll be more widespread rain. This is your perfect example of high cape, low shear. We typically see this in the month of June, not in the month of early May. Usually our shear is still pretty good at this point in time, but, you know, weather has been wacky as of late, so you just never know. You know, there is some decent rotation on that storm up there, though. There really is, especially considering there's just not a lot of shear. There's a little boundary up there, and it could be riding on that boundary, and that could be what it is. But here is Comanche County here. And these storms are just slowly drifting in this direction. I would expect this, the rotating part of this storm, the mesocyclone, to kind of move like this. It may not even move into Comanche. You know, I think that was, you know, probably kind of a cover your rear end type thing for there. That's fine. But, you know, it's no harm in foul. We're good with that. But the storms down to the south, you don't see the same look to those. They just don't look as impressive. And that stuff that's moving into Vernon appears to be really falling apart quickly. And these storms are well to the west of Wichita. If they were to impact us, it'd be after 9 o'clock, and I don't even know that they will. So we'll watch them, though, and see what happens. All right, so let's see here. No, this is not like, it's not lining up like it did on Saturday. No, nothing like that. Totally different setup. That was a significant setup, and if we had supercells like this on Saturday evening, I'd have been really concerned, but not this. And, you know, Burt Burnett, it's going to be close. This activity may die out before it gets to you. It's just going to be a race against the clock. You know, can we get these storms to get far enough to the east before the sun goes down and we lose that energy source? But, you know, I just think that by the time they get over this way, they should be weakening. But, you know, we'll see what happens. So is Wolfie, is he the bird, I guess? And I guess that's the one that's, is he saying something? It was me and Garrett James for a while, but you know, now I've got two they're both young. Don't get me wrong, Garrett and Jaden are both young, and they've got, you know, still got a lot to learn, but very talented. They're leaps and bounds ahead of where I was when I was their age. But I am trying to teach them the right way. You know, that's the number one thing is I'm trying to teach Jaden. There's so many bad weather people out there, even in TV. So I'm trying to teach them the right way, and hopefully they'll take that with them throughout their careers. You know, Chickasha needs a good washing. You know, I would say down our way too, but I don't know. We've had a lot of rain. Yeah, I'm not going to complain. We need to fill our lakes up, and you don't complain about rain in this part of the country. But boy, you know, it's very wet and it's super humid out there. So, and I don't know that McGargle will get any either. It's just everything. Yeah, well, yeah, shear is a little bit better up there, and a lot better up there in Kansas. Yes, that there has been some tornadoes up there. What does a purple mean? I'm not sure what you're. I think what that's called is the radar seeing some things that are just I think it's called de-aliasing. But anyway, it's that. Don't worry about the purple. It's nothing. You'll be all right, Kimberly. You'll be fine. It is very hot and humid. It feels like living in Houston or on the Gulf Coast right now. But you know, it doesn't get this humid here very often. It just you know, just a couple times a year. It's usually this time of the year, late April, May, into early June. This kind of feels to me like early June than it does May. But that storm is growing there north of Frederick. It is really growing. It's like we're trying to get a supercell. You can see some outflow boundaries in there. It looks like it's trying to get this. What's causing that storm to try to intensify some. So it's moving kind of east northeast, while the big supercell up to the north is drifting to the south. So those two cells could wind up merging at some point. But I'm looking at the velocities on here, and I do see very broad, fairly weak rotation right in there near Roosevelt. Pretty weak. It isn't that strong. You know, in order for this to produce a tornado, you would really need to you'd really need to see these greens and reds really kind of match up next to each other. It's not a bad circulation, but there's your circulation in here. It's like this. And then you got you know, your red rapid. This would be your inflow part of the thunderstorm, feeding that warm, humid air into the updraft. But you know, when you start worrying about it, it's if this red starts to kind of start backing into here, and this green starts kind of coming up a little bit more, and you start getting it real tight and everything's spinning tight. That's when you worry about a tornado. Right now, I would think there probably is a wall cloud with that, probably. You know, I don't know how solid it is, but there probably is a wall cloud there on that. It's definitely a mesoscale. It's maybe kind of south-southeast. But again, I don't think this is going to make it into Comanche County, so it could, but I don't think it will. Can't tell what's going on back here on the back side of this here. That's some pretty strong winds, though, dropping southeast there near Roosevelt. Yeah, that's going to be the RFD, I think, the rear flank downdraft, probably. Pretty strong rear flank downdraft winds. You know, when you see weak shear environments, thunderstorms have a tendency to become what's called outflow dominant. Yeah, it means that that the cold air within the tops of the thunderstorms typically try to find a way to start pushing out from the storm, and they find a way to, that kind of finds a way to limit your tornado potential usually. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what you see with this storm here pretty soon. But that is I'm not gonna lie, that's a big supercell. It's a big one. Probably putting down some hail there at least near Hobart, dropping south towards Roosevelt. But it may not make it too much further to the south. It could wind up just raining itself out since it's moving so slow. That storm down there, Tipton's coming up. You're getting a little bit of a hook on it now, and there's probably, you probably got your updraft that's probably trying to spin a bit. There's a couple of outflow boundaries in this area. Let's look at the velocities on that, and I don't see any rotation in there really. See what looks like maybe something here. What's the reflectivity look like? Yeah, I don't know what that is there. It could be the updraft. I'm not sure, but there's a good bit of hail there increasing with it now. And again, that storm down near Fargo, and the warning that we thought in Wilbarger County has been allowed to expire. So we'll see what happens with these thunderstorms over here into Oklahoma. They're just kind of drifting in kind of erratic directions. These are kind of moving slowly east, northeast. And then this one here is kind of slowly drifting and kind of into the south, but it's not really moving that quickly. But if these storms can wind up merging, we could see a bigger area of storms, and and if that could happen, then you might wind up seeing some right turns, and perhaps maybe that would give us better storm chances down to the south. Just so many different variables happen. Again, this is a very weak shear environment, and it's just these storms. You can tell how puny they are down south. What's happening with these thunderstorms here is you got stronger winds at the Earth's surface and just above it, but then you get up high, and those winds are fairly weak. So what happens is the updraft goes up, and it gets that upper level winds, and it kind of folds over. So it kind of looks like that, almost like a U shape. That's what you see there. So that's why these storms, I think, are struggling down to the south here a bit. But man, those two storms up north there in Oklahoma, those things are some beastly-looking storms. Certainly putting out some heavy rains. If they're not moving much, there could be some flooding there. You see some green polygon flood warnings up that way. Yeah, I know it's miserable there, Kimberly and Lawton. This is miserable here, too. Well, we did have some decent, I was talking, my wife and I have talked about this quite a bit. We really didn't have a lot of cold weather this winter. There was that one period there where it was real cold in January, but other than that, it really wasn't cold. We've really had some good weather. We didn't see our typical April freeze, and 2 years in a row, I think we haven't seen an April freeze now. And it's just been real nice. I thought that we've had a real nice spring, and now it's just that time of the year, hot and humid. This is exactly what you expect. This is exactly what we typically see. I know you could catch them, Cameron, since they're moving so slow, but by the time you get up there, he's wanting to chase them, by the way. By the time you get up there, they'll probably have rained themselves out, or they'll probably weaken him because we'll lose some daytime heating. So, is there a tornado at the TX? What is the TX? David, the weather tomorrow, I can show you real fast. It looks really stormy tomorrow night. And with that said, what I mean by that is it's heavy rain, an area of thunderstorms crossing North Texas, southern Oklahoma with heavy rain. And that could wind up giving us some flooding. So I'm not overly concerned about a lot of severe weather. There'll probably be some with wind tomorrow night. But, it looks to me like flooding could wind up being our bigger concern. So, still just watching these storms down here. And, you know, the way I'm covering it, just doing a little update here on Facebook Live. And, you know, if these wind up going into Comanche County, I may do perhaps maybe a quick update over on Channel 6, and then maybe a little bit with our 24/7 news channel. I might would do that. And people have been asking me about the 24/7 news channel, and, you know, all I can tell you is it's this digital 6.4. It's there. You just may have to find it. It's also, you can also go to our website and find it there. If you have let's say you have a Roku TV and you have the News Channel 6 app on there, it'll be us on there playing all the time too. So it's pretty easy. But if you don't, you just got digital 6.4. And what runs on there is usually whatever newscast was last. It'll run, you know, throughout the day and night. But when we have breaking things like this, we can always go to the 24/7 news channel and do updates there. You know, we'll still be on social media, so we got to make sure we're reaching you guys. But make sure everybody stays informed. You know, hard to say, but there could be some rotation trying to show up there west of Manitou now with that thunderstorm. It looks like it's starting to spin a bit. Some pretty strong winds in it regardless, but it does look like we got maybe a little bit of rotation there within that thunderstorm trying to develop. See, if we had better shear today, these would be probably tornado producers. We'd probably be wall to wall right now. North Texas, these storms are falling apart quickly. I don't even know that we'll even get anything here in the city. I think these are really raining themselves out. Yeah, it's just everything's a little bit better up in Oklahoma, and a lot of times that is the case and the way it works out. Yeah, actually, this actually looks kind of similar to the El Reno. I chased the El Reno tornado up there in El Reno, Oklahoma back in 2011, I believe it was. Or maybe it was 2013. I can't remember. But that storm looked very similar to this one. It just wound up just sitting there, and it wound up producing some massive tornadoes. But you wound up seeing it back build some, and that's kind of what you see with this one here. I mean, you don't have the shear today to produce the massive tornado that you did that day, but there's some rotation on the backside of it now too. So it looks like this, the rotating part of this thunderstorm has now started moving more due east, and it may even wind up moving kind of east-northeast at some point in time. It's kind of occluding now, which means it's weakening, should be weakening, while the storm on the backside of it's trying to increase a bit. So you may see some warnings come out back there. Down towards Tipton, though, I'm telling you, the rotation is showing up there. Let me get my Weather Service app here, see if the Weather Service is saying much about this stuff. Well, those guys up in Norman have been so busy lately. Yeah, the only thing the Weather Service is saying about the storm there in the northern part of Frederick near Tipton is that it's increasing intensity, which we've already shown you that, and larger hailstones will be possible there in Tipton here soon. And they've got this is from the EM Tillman County, is that the Manitou Frederick area on the backside near Tipton there is rising scud going into the storm. Definitely a lowering, but not a wall cloud. So sounds like there's a wall cloud probably trying to develop with that storm there on Tipton for sure. But you can see the rotation. It's actually not bad. Tornado threats do remain low. You know, these storms, they can rotate like this all they want. And a lot of this is as a result of again, a lot of instability, a lot of Cape values in the atmosphere, maybe just enough shear to allow those updrafts to kind of spin a little bit up there in Oklahoma, and some interactions with some little boundaries and all. That's probably what's allowing these to spin some. But so far, I don't think they're producing tornadoes. So they can spin all they want, but I don't know that they're going to produce. If they do, low-end chance that happens. But you know, sometimes these what we call mesoscale accidents can happen, and sometimes you do get a few, but that would be up there in Oklahoma, not down here in North Texas. You put that in motion, and you can see those storms just continue to. I wonder why there's holes all in it there. I don't know what that is from. I'd have to go back and look. Those storms that were near Fargo, they're trying to weaken. You can see the weaker shear with the orientations of the storms down here, just slightly better up to the north. So there is the latest velocity scans coming off those storms there. And you do have broad rotation near Manitou, but nothing that looks tornadic to me. You can almost see the updraft there in it. You see it right there. And that's where the spin is. Now, we wouldn't be surprised if this becomes outflow dominant here soon, too. It kind of looks like it might be about to do that. Somewhere up to the north, we'll check it out real fast, see what's going on with it. Nothing new to report. In fact, it looks weaker, at least from a rotational standpoint, there west of Cooperton. Looks like the rotation has really kind of fallen apart there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them replace this tornado warning with the severe thunderstorm warning if these trends continue to happen. Pretty strong winds, though, with that. I think it's more of a damaging wind threat developing there in Manitou with that thunderstorm. That's what it looks like to me. Got a lot of lightning in it, though, for sure. Storms down to the south fading quickly now. The big storms up north are going to be it. If you look today, though, there's looks like a confirmed tornado just outside of Kansas City at this hour. Wow. I'd have to look at that and see what's showing up there. Of course, that's nowhere near my viewing area, but I'd still there. It looks like maybe a bit of a cell there embedded within that line. Been some severe weather up to the north today too. Pretty big spin, but again, this time you don't have as much shear as we did on Saturday, and that helps us out quite a bit. If we look at storm reports today, you got a couple tornadoes. There's been several up there in the looks like up there in northern Iowa, and maybe some tornado reports there in southern parts of Iowa there, where there's some tornado watches up. Looks like several in northeastern parts of Kansas, north of Manhattan, and in and around Topeka. There were some reports there too, and looks like there's some maybe near Lawrence. Hopefully that will lift up before it gets into Kansas City. Then down to the south, looks like some funnel clouds there in southern parts of Kansas today. Then you get down south, we have these warnings, and as you can see, there's no tornado reports here, just some hail reports, and that's it. That's what we expected today, and that's basically what we're seeing here. It's mostly hail. We'll see if anything can get going, but I'd be surprised if we saw anything much, tornadic-wise. I think this is mostly a hail and wind threat more than anything else. So, see, that's becoming. You can see everything's pushing out now. I don't see a lot of rotation there. It looks like mostly just winds pushing away. It looks like a downburst signature, honestly. You actually have a little bit of rotation north of Fargo with that, strangely. There it is. You can kind of see the supercell structure of it kind of merging with that little stuff on the back side. That may be what's causing it to spin some. So right along the Red River, there's a little bit of rotation. So these are well north of Vernon again. They're kind of up there north of Frederick. And once again, if you're just now joining me, I do not see a need, honestly, much for a tornado warning at this time in Comanche County. If you look, there's been some broad rotation back there, but it's kind of falling apart. You may be seeing a new little area of spin kind of over into this area, but this is definitely falling apart. I think severe thunderstorm warning would probably be fine there in Comanche. But that's going to stay, at least for now, stays well north of Lawton. Looks like they're going to cancel that tornado warning up there in Comanche, which is the right thing to do. So, let's see if I got some questions here that I can answer for you fine folks here this evening. Yeah, there was. That's where those storms have been, kind of over in that area. So, I don't know where it'd be on Spectrum cable. That's one of the things I just don't. I don't know where to tell you to find it on cable. It should be on there somewhere, I would think. Should say it somewhere, I would think. Or you could ask them about it. Thanks, Jason. I thought it was 6.4. Why did I say 6. I've always been told it was 6.4. I must be off on that then. Map is useless. Text is away. I don't know what that means, Cheryl. Sorry. I would be surprised. I think they'll die out before they get to Duncan tie. Yeah, they've had a lot of tornadic activity up there today. You know, when they put the stuff on the maps, that's sponsorship, and you know, that's just how it goes. You're welcome, Madison. Anadarko, you know, there's storms. I think you're going to be okay. The storms are mostly west of you. I think you'll be fine, though. Yeah, no tracker, Cameron. I don't think so. Those storms are a long way from there, and since they're just drifting, I don't think they'll make it to Marlow and Duncan. I would be surprised. I mean, if they could all merge up and there could be a cold pool or something, but my thoughts are these storms are moving so slow. By the time they would try to attempt to get even close to there, the sun's going to go down. They're going to begin to weaken. So, but if it did so, it'd be later on. I'll have to look and see about Indian City. I don't know much about that. Let me see if I can find Indian City, because I don't even know where Indian City even is. So, good evening there, Carrie. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. Well, I mean, it's you know, this is a lower end type thing today. We weren't expecting anything major today, so but we're still on with it. A little storm down in Knox City still. There's some storms south of there too. But once again, these are not anything. These are not as serious as the ones on Saturday. You know, maybe the storm up here trying to recycle a little bit. The hook gets a little bit better on it. Yeah, I do see some, you know, a couple areas of some weak rotation in there. Maybe a decent area near north of Roosevelt now could be. Again, without much motion with these storms, it's very difficult for them to really rotate and spin a lot. Looks like the winds, downburst signatures at least for now, north of Frederick and near Manitou. Pretty strong winds in that area there. So could be seeing the damaging wind pick up there north of Tillman County, rural areas. And again, you do have a little bit of weak spin down here along the Red River, north of Fargo. I bet I can see that on my Vernon Tower cam. Let's go over there to that and see. I might have to move it around some. Takes it sometimes a few minutes to pop up, so. But there it is, and I'm not sure which direction that is looking. I think it's looking off to the north, maybe. Yeah, I'm still here, by the way. I'm just doing something. All right, so I'm going to turn my tower cam here around to the north. Let's see what it looks like north of there. So I guess we are looking north. Let me kind of pan it around some. You can see the ambles of those storms off in the distance there, those high-level amble clouds there. You can see those. But, you know, just like it was on Saturday, it's extremely hazy and very difficult to see. So there's the sun. So that would be west. I want to say that this is north. I don't know, sometimes it's kind of hard to tell. Just spinning around some. But yeah, they're probably a little bit out of the way. And once again, it's so hazy, it's really, really difficult to see them. Try to zoom in some here. Yeah. Not going to be able to see much from there, so we'll just go back over to old radar here, take a look at what's going on. Still got those severe thunderstorm warnings up there north of Vernon. The storm north of Vernon has actually gotten in the southern parts of Jackson and Tillman County. It looks a little bit better organized. Nothing tornadic, but probably has some hail in it now and some decent rain there from it. Looks like Tillman County getting hit pretty good with those heavy rain areas from these storms. They're not moving any. They're just kind of back building. So heavy rain and bouts of mostly small hail in those particular locations. Let's look at the velocity, see if anything's changed. You do see a little increase in sign of rotation there. It's probably because it's starting to interact with the storms back off to the southwest, and that's pretty good. That's pretty good rotation there. Actually, you can see the greens and the reds. They're not quite matching up yet, but there's some rotation in there, 100% for certain, no doubt about that. Kind of north of Burt and west of Manitou and north of Frederick, kind of just east of Tipton. But the rotation will probably be, I would imagine, probably not very strong. So, they did continue the tornado warning up there in Comanche. I'm not sure why. So, funnel cloud northwest of Frederick. Tillman County storm spotters report a funnel cloud just northwest of Frederick. So, we do got a funnel cloud there. I wonder if I got any storm chasers in that area. Cameron, maybe we should have sent you up there. No storm. All the storm chasers are up there in Kansas, which I don't blame them. I would be too. It's by 2200 Road north of Frederick. Is that where the old funnel cloud was located? Yeah, you've got decent rotation there. You really do. You can see the spin, the updraft. I do not see a tornado in that, but it certainly is spinning good there. Some interactions with that storm to the south, I think, is helping to push it a little bit. What you got here is you got strong winds blowing kind of here, and you're starting to get this wraparound look here. There's your inflow here, and there's your RFD, or your rear flank downdraft, coming around on the back side of it there. So you can see the spin. There's your boundary. So it's a little boundary of what it's on. That's a little outflow boundary, I think, and that's what's causing it to spin. I would think that if it ever drifts off that boundary, any type of circulation that's developed in it would probably go away. Wonder if the Weather Service has said anything about it yet. Oh, wow, that is a really, I'm looking at the tornado on the ground northwest of Frederick, and that is a nice tornado too. It's not big, but there is a bit of a funnel there. Let me go get my guy. I'm gonna have to do an update on News Channel 6. So give me just a second. So I'll be right back. All right, so there's our tornado warning there. It's for basically southern Tillman County. And my thoughts are, since the storm's not moving, I don't really know how you can you can really track that much because the storm is just not moving. It's just sitting stationary. So I don't know. It's hard for me to be able to really give you a storm track on that because, I mean, it's really not moving. It's just kind of drifting to the south. So if you're really anywhere northwest of Frederick, I would be taking shelter. I've got a good picture. This is a really nice, it's not a big tornado. It's a kind of a needle nose tornado, kind of looks like a needle. So not a large tornado. It's probably fairly weak too, just judging on this, but certainly a tornado on the ground for sure, northwest of Frederick. So yeah, I need to do an update. I'm trying to get in touch with but that circulation is not bad at all. So all right, I'm gonna call Master Control Unity. All right, thanks, Cam. Master Control, this is a KUZ. Are you there?
Hey, what's up, man?
I need to do a weather update during the next commercial break here, like the next national break, please.
All right, give me 1 second. Let me look. Hey, the next break is at 32:11. So we're in about.
All right, we'll do it then. We'll go then. It's just going to be over the commercial break only, though. So I mean, yes, fine. Just give me we're on, then I'll be ready to go. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, I had to get that arranged there for real fast. But you know, we are going to stay on here Facebook Live since we got a tornado warning there in northern Tillman County. This is north of Frederick. And like I said before, I don't know that this is going to make it into Frederick. I mean, you can see for yourself, the storm is just not moving. It's just, it's interacting. What's happened here is, in the world of weather, it's called mesoscale accident, this collision, mesoscale chaos, just a lot of different ways you can look at it. So you got this storm down to the south that's producing some wind. And then you got our supercell there that's located there near Manitou. You had a little spinning updraft, just enough shear to get that going up there, by the way. So the storm to the south is interacting with it, and as it did, hold on.
About 10 seconds out.
All right. I'm about to go live. Hold on.
All right, here we go.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. I just want to do a quick update here on News Channel 6. We do have a tornado warning there for Tillman County, and this is going to be for, even though that the pink box here, that shows confirmed tornado, and there was a tornado on the ground with this, pretty weak, but certainly was there near, or just east of Tipton there a short while ago. But if we take a look at it, you can see it's just not moving much. So even though there's a polygon and there's a warning down in Frederick, I don't know that this is going to make it into Frederick. To me, it looks like it's just kind of sitting still. There's some little boundaries in the area that the storm is kind of interacting with, that storm to the south, causing it to spin some, but it's just not moving much. But there does appear to be rotation. It does appear to be a tornado on the ground there, located somewhere north of Burt, or kind of in the Tipton area, or just east of Tipton, kind of between, kind of this triangle here between Tipton, Burt, and Manitou. Some rotation there showing up on radar. Probably you do have a weak tornado. It's not moving much. If it is moving any at all, it could be drifting south, maybe southwest. But if you live anywhere between Tipton, Burton, and Manitou, take shelter now. This storm certainly is producing a lot of rotation and could be producing a tornado still. at any time, mostly over rural areas. Watch Tipton. Now, I know that Tipton, it looks like the rotation is just east of you, but yeah, keep an eye on that. The storm is moving erratically since the flow in the atmosphere is fairly weak and it's interacting with other things in the atmosphere. It's moving erratically, and it can still spin back around towards you, but I do not expect it to move much. So as of right now, Frederick, you look okay. I think the rotation or the tornado stays just northwest of you a bit since it's not moving any. But, of course, we'll keep an eye on it and see if anything changes here a bit. Now, if you look outside of that, we got several severe thunderstorm warnings there in Tillman County and then up there in the parts of Comanche County. There's even this one tornado warning, kind of the northwestern parts of Comanche County. But it still looks to me, if you've been following me on Facebook Live there, it looks to me like most of the rotation is just kind of slowly drifting. And but you got to watch these storms closely as these interact with other thunderstorms. Oftentimes it can disrupt the organization, and eventually it will, but at least initially it can help foster these storms to produce perhaps a tornado or two. So we'll be watching that. These storms are going to kind of stay up here in Oklahoma. I think that once the sun sets, unless these things begin to generate what's called a cold pool, they should begin to weaken pretty fast. And I think after the sun goes down, they should go away for the most part. But we'll keep an eye on that. If they were to impact parts of North Texas, it would be a while from now. Some of these storms could at least produce some rain over into Lawton, so we'll keep an eye on that. But again, these should show a downward trend in intensity at some point in the next few hours after the sun sets. We are on Facebook Live. You can go over there and keep up with our coverage over there on that. In the meantime, let's go back to the program.
All right, you're clear.
Thank you, sir. So anyway, we've been we just did a little update over there on News Channel 6. I'm looking at the picture here. Good wall cloud with it, but no tornado at this time. So very low level on the Kiowa storm, going to extend tornado further south. Very strong low level currently circulation located on the Tipton storm. Tornado may be imminent. We already know that. So so we'll see what happens. I just don't. Again, I'm not confident that this is the tornadic portion. Matter of fact, I'm pretty confident that the tornadic portion of this storm is not going to make it into Frederick. Now, Frederick, I know you got your sirens going off, and a thunderstorm's about to move right over, and you think, oh, this is the tornado. No, that's not the tornado. The tornado warning was for this storm, and it was moving south, but since the winds are so weak in the atmosphere, this storm so this is a storm here, and it was moving south, and then this storm over here develops, and it's moving kind of more east and east-northeast. And it's kind of pushed that storm a bit to kind of move a little more erratically. So as you can see, it's really not moving. If anything, it's kind of drifting eastward now. So I don't think there's no tornado threat down in this area at all. I think the tornado threat's going to be right in there. And we'll see if this other storm over here tries to spin a little bit. As of right now, there's actually some really strong rotation with that storm up there in Tillman County. And this has got to be mesoscale interactions because there's really not enough shear in the atmosphere to do this. I was looking last night, and there were some decent, at least early on in the evening, some decent tornado parameters were trying to show up here. But I looked above the Earth's surface, and the shear was pretty weak. Our Storm Prediction Center didn't say anything about it really. But I kind of thought outside of my head that there could be at least a little bit of a concern. But I wasn't going to say it because it just wasn't that intense of a concern. It's still not. But that's not a bad circulation there in that triangle there between Tipton, Burt, and Manitou. It's actually really good circulation. It's pretty. You got pretty strong winds blowing. You can see the strong winds blowing around the tornado there. Pretty strong. I mean, you got winds like this there, and it's strong for sure. You don't see a lot in the way of gate-to-gate shear in there, but it still looks like it's probably got a tornado in the area. I don't see this is debris, and I don't see any debris signatures there. Looking at that, probably going to be wrapped in rain, pretty much, I would think. So a new tornado warning looks like it did go further south, and this is the red box for that storm up to the north. It's drifting southward there. And it does cover a western part of Comanche County. Let's stop this. This would be for the storm to the north there. So you do have, this would kind of go into the Indiahoma area, well west of Lawton, well west of Cache. But yeah, you look at it there, and it's starting to interact with other storms too, so that could help it kind of spin up a little bit too. I don't know what some of this stuff is showing up on radar. I need to call my vendor and get to tech support. I've seen this a lot here lately. That's some weird looks. I need to figure out what that is. So on this particular storm, I see two areas. This is the area of rotation south of Roosevelt. It doesn't look particularly strong. And it looks like another one south of Cooperton. And both of these are just kind of drifting in kind of this direction, but they're interacting with that storm to the south. So it could spin up for a little bit, but I would think that after a while, it would probably cause that to perhaps begin to weaken some. So the latest updates that I see with our storms down to the south, and man, that's a good signature, and it's moving northwest now. So it looks like this tornado is perhaps moving right at Tipton. You know, this is really odd because this is going to come at you from the east-southeast. This is not your average or typical tornado mover. If there is a tornado on the ground, this is kind of backing up and moving right at Tipton. So if you're in Tipton, you need to be taking shelter. This may be wrapped in rain, so you need to make sure you're where you need to be. So I'm trying to get some updates here. Yeah, nice. That was a nice little tornado north of Frederick there a little bit ago. Yeah, it's pretty good circulation, and you know, even from me, you know, again, folks, I don't really know what this is right here. This is not. This is something that there's obviously a little bug in the radar system right there. So, software. That is a software problem from our vendor. So I need to give them a call, figure out if they can fix that. So I'm actually going to take a little screenshot of it so they can see what I'm talking about. But you know, that is something that I can still see the rotation underneath it, though. It's still there. Still pretty good rotation, too. And it's backing up. It's actually, again, with this erratic movement, you just don't know. But it's kind of backing up to the northwest. In fact, if anything, this circulation may even ride the northern tornado boundary, may even cross out of it to the north, which is weird. So at this point in time, at least with this particular cell here, and I'll watch and see if anything happens down to the south, but there's, you know, whenever this hits a boundary, it could get to going. That's a pretty good storm, though. And I suppose if Cameron were going to chase a storm, that would be the one to go after, would be that one. But I just don't feel that by the time, that's a pretty good little drive up into that area, about an hour, and I don't think that he would catch it. So I'm not going to send Cameron at this hour because, you know, it just, today was such a marginal day that, you know, I just didn't feel like it was, we needed to send him out. So some flooding going on up there right now. Pretty large wall cloud. The majority of it is wrapped in rain there near Tipton. Strong circulation west of Tillman County. Looks like we have a funnel trying to redevelop on the western side of the clear slot. So it looks like what's happened here is we got a new tornado. Look at how chaotic this is here, folks. I'm about to take off these severe thunderstorm warnings because it's hard to be able to track all these things, all these warnings all over the place. So look at this. I'm going to take the radar off here. We got tornado warnings going in all different directions here. This one really never made sense to me right here. This one never did because the storm wasn't really moving. So as of right now, you've got a tornado warning to the north here, Kiowa County, with that dropping south, a couple circulations. And the original tornado warning, which was dropping south, is now moving more like this. So that's why the warning has been expanded northwestward into Jackson County now, kind of toward Altus. But, you know, with the slow movement of these, I just don't know that they're going to make it into Altus. So where it's at right now is probably where it's going to be for at least a while longer. That's at least what it looks like to me. Let me see if Master Control let me go. Hey, Master Control, is this a national rate? Can we go over it again?
Hey, give me 1 second, Ken. Let me check, see what time the next national break is.
Thank you.
Right
All right, that's fine. Thanks.
All right. And if you need to go on a little earlier than that, just give me a holler. I can get you on the air.
Okay, we're fine with just the next national break is good. Thanks.
All right, man.
All right, so you hear me doing all that. So Cameron is so trying to twist my arm to get him to go storm chasing, you know, and I'm not against it, but I just don't think he'll. I think he's going to be in a wild goose chase, but you know. All right, so again, we got lots of chaos going on with there. It's big supercell, dropping cell. Probably some pretty big hailstones there near Roosevelt with that storm, I would think. And storminess has really increased now over western parts of Comanche County. And I would think that with the way these look, there could be some flooding issues that are, you know, because these things are kind of trying to grow up scale. So there could be some flooding issues over here. A lot of these storms are trying to merge and trying to become, you know, just one big area of storms here. That's what they're trying to become. And that might be the tendency. All these things may wind up clustering up, and you could wind up seeing what was called a cold pool. So what happens is a lot of times when these storms cluster up, they'll begin to lose their circulation, but they'll start producing a lot of wind and a lot of rain-cooled air. So that could actually help these storms linger a little while into the evening. So I was thinking earlier that these storms will begin to fade once the sun goes down. But if that happens, then that kind of changes the game. But those are definitely some very heavy rain-producing thunderstorms, a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, and all those storm interactions. That's what's causing all these storms to rotate. Let's look at the latest velocities there. So if we look, the rotation that was showing up near Frederick has really weakened a lot. You can see how that thing moved and how it moved almost northward, you know, kind of riding on those boundaries there a bit, and it's weakened quite a bit. Matter of fact, there's no longer a tornado with that. So we have a new observed tornado warning up here to the north. Let me see what the Weather Service is saying about that one. So the weather spotters confirmed a tornado near Cooperton in southwest of Roosevelt, moving about 5 miles per hour. So Cooperton. So looks like there was a, man, I don't know, man. It's just so hard to tell. There was a reported tornado in this area here, but I don't, at least on radar, I don't see anything that's super organized. It's very disorganized, if anything. So it's hard to say, but you know there could be a little something in there. But observed tornado warnings, what they went with. But you know, maybe there might have been some, you know, right in there, south of Cooperton. That's looks like it might have been on the radar, but it's just really hard to say with those error things going all over the place there. So back down south, looks like our rotation has increased again. Looks like we had another little tornado that's now northeast of Tipton, and this would be on the northern side of Tillman County, just west of N2190 road. This is very rural areas, well south of Hedrick, and this is north. Now Tipton looks like you're going to be okay. This tornado, unless it drifts back south again, is going to be out of your area. It's going to stay away from you. Okay, so but there looks like a little tornado a couple miles northwest there of Tipton, a little tornado up that. You know, that Tillman County always produces tornadoes for some reason. Looks like you may have another little one developing right there, maybe to the east there near NY920 road there. So, but the southern part, Frederick, you're no longer no need to be worried about anything there. I don't see anything there that's a concerning sign for you, so you're good. In fact, the southern storm may be showing some signs of weakening a bit. could be some hail there in it, but no tornado with that, just severe thunderstorm. I took the severe thunderstorm warnings and flood warnings off because it's just, you know, a lot of it kind of cluttering up the screen. It's hard to say. Now, if you're in Lawton, you know, no thunderstorms over you, but some of these storms may try to develop into your area. So Lawton, you could get some storminess from some of this. As of right now, the spinning parts of the storm stay west of you, but there could be some storms. There's actually been a storm that's developed on the forward flank here above the big supercell right in that area. I wonder if there's any spin with that one. There actually is. So there actually is a little bit of rotation there in the northwestern part of Comanche County. It's pretty broad, but there's actually a little bit of rotation there. Broad rotation, but the way these storms have been behaving, they'll develop this broad rotation, and then as they get interactions with boundaries, they spin up pretty fast. So there still could be something that may try to spin there. Down to the south, we still have that little tornado there, likely on the ground, just north of Tipton there. I wonder if we got any debris showing up there. I don't really see any. I'm watching the storm south down towards Frederick, but it's weakening pretty quick here. And I don't see any rotation with it, so that's good. And it looks like the tornado, at least from this vantage point on this scan, has probably lifted there just north of Tipton. But you know, the way it's been reacting, it'll go down and pop back up. It's moving almost due northwest. It's been an erratic moving storm. So I still need to watch Hedrick. Got it. Thanks. Yeah, I just got a message from my friend Darren Beaver. Yeah, these storms are really crazy the way they're acting. They just really are. I mean, this is, you know, and there really is no way to forecast this, honestly. You know, there's not a lot of wind shear in the atmosphere to really produce tornadoes, but there's just enough speed with the winds up there in Oklahoma to allow for a couple supercells to try to develop. But then you get them to interacting with each other and different types of boundaries, and those little boundaries help them spin some, so it kind of alters the environment. That's what's happened. So, and since the storm winds are so weak up there, they're moving erratically and just following these boundaries and these interactions with these storms. You got one dropping south, one moving north, you got one moving east. So it's just really difficult to track them, and they're not moving very quickly. So I mean, it's plenty of time to be able to prepare for these, but they're, you know, I wouldn't be surprised though if we see a new tornado warning come out. And I don't, again, it's not moving much, but there might be a new tornado warning that may try to come out for that storm there in northwestern parts of Comanche County. It's no tight rotation there yet, but it's spinning. It's doing the same thing the one down to the south in Tillman County did. I would think that the tornado threat in Lawton, at least based upon these radar images, is going to be fairly low because these storms are not moving right at you. It's just moving more south. Just moving erratically, and they're not moving very quickly. You know, I still feel that most of these are going to kind of rain themselves out, or we'll begin to lose some daytime heating, unless we cold pull up, you know, and I would think that once the sun goes down here in the next hour or two, these would begin to, you know, fall apart pretty fast. We can look at the HER. But folks, I'll be honest with you, the HER's not done a very good job with these storms today. You know, it shows them up there, but it does show them. It actually does show them getting into the Duncan area. So you probably just need to watch them for a while and just see what happens. You know. It doesn't get them down here in Wichita Falls. So, unless something happens, I'd be surprised if we actually got storms here in the city. Those storms would have to kind of merge up. Actually, there's a little storm going up there just west of Burt Burnett now, a little shower. It's just popped up all of a sudden in the humid air. So we'll see if that can get going. But the ones down in North Texas just have not been able to sustain themselves. There's not enough push in the atmosphere. Really, there's not enough winds in the atmosphere to keep them going, and you don't have other storms in the area to interact to help push them around. So it doesn't look to me like it's going to be as good down, or it's going to have as many storms down here anyway. But I do see a secondary supercell that's spinning there on the northwest side of Comanche County that could wind up getting a tornado warning for it pretty soon. Wouldn't be surprised. The one down here that's impacting Frederick now, it has not really shown too many signs, but you can begin to see some rotation showing up on it now.
Hey, Ken, about a little over 2 minutes. A little over 2.
Got it. Thank you. All right, so I see, again, some increasing signs of rotation near just west of Frederick. And once again, it's that kind of that erratic storm motion and movement. There's your rotation up there northwest of Mears, northwest of Lawton. It looks like the rotation there that's been in the one that's been moving erratic in Oklahoma, that in Tipton County north of Tipton, has pretty much weakened. I don't see any rotation in that one now. That's pretty much gone. But I mean, it could pop back up, but I think that one may be done. Now we're gonna have to watch down to the south and see what happens with this particular storm. There's some spin on it there west of Frederick. Not a lot, but there is a little bit. Nothing strong, but I wouldn't be.
Hey, we're about 1 minute out, Ken. 1 minute.
All right, thanks. So we're about to do a cut-in on News Channel 6 again, but this will be a brief one. It won't be a long one, so. Thank goodness we don't have to interrupt your programming anymore like we used to. Other ways to cover it now.
All right, Ken, about 30 out. 30 out.
All right.
All right, stand by, Ken.
Okay.
Here we go. Go, Ken.
All right, here's a weather update for you where it's tracking multiple severe thunderstorms over here into parts of Oklahoma. They're not moving very quickly, but we got erratic storm motions with these, and it's been pretty difficult to, actually been kind of difficult to be able to track these. We've been tracking several. We'll start by looking at the one up here to the north. There's actually been this tornado warning just on the west side of Comanche County. And the pink would represent observed tornado. And there's been a couple weak spin-ups with that supercell. It's, again, moving erratically. I do see a little increased sign of some spin in extreme northwestern Comanche County, but it's just not moving very quickly. Let's go down to the south. These storms remain part west of Lawton, but it looks like these storms now may wind up trying to maintain themselves long enough. So we could see these storms perhaps interact with Lawton with some heavy rain and maybe some severe threats in the next couple of hours. If we look at the storm, it looks like the one that produced the tornado warnings there that was over there near Tipton have really weakened quite a bit as far as the circulations. They're pretty much gone. There could be some more that may try to pop up, but as of right now, doesn't look like much in that one. Now we go down to Frederick, And there is a thunderstorm over this way this morning. That's not a warning for this particular storm, but there no warnings for the severe thunderstorm warning, no tornado warning for that. But there has been some signs that one's trying to spin a little bit too. So we'll have to watch these storms. And a new little thunderstorm has developed there near Burt Burnett. Now that's not severe yet, but it could grow. You know, things are really changing a bit in the atmosphere some. We've been able to sustain thunderstorms, and we're seeing a little bit of increase in the low-level wind shear now, especially up there in Oklahoma. So these storms have to be watched. They can still produce mostly brief tornadoes, but most of you won't see that. But any of these storms could have the potential at least to do it. So just remain weather aware here across the southern parts of Oklahoma too. Watch North Texas too, but I think most of these storms will kind of be over into this area here for the next several hours. I still think it'll begin to weaken a little bit later on this evening, but severe threats may have increased a bit for southern Oklahoma based upon some of the latest observations. You know, threats for large hail, heavy rain, flooding, and a couple tornadoes up that way will remain possible through at least 10 o'clock. So we'll be watching it right here on News Channel 6, and we're live right now on Facebook if you want to join us over there. So in the meantime, we're going to send everything back over to programming. All right, so we should be I'm done for now. We should be still, so we got a visual on a wall cloud somewhere. I'm trying to see, funnel cloud. Thank you, sir. So, so a lot of low-level rotation and whatnot into those areas up there in Oklahoma. Showing up here this evening, and I'll be honest about it, folks. I really didn't expect this to happen here. I mean, I knew that there was a potential for some severe weather, lower end stuff. All right. So lower end stuff, but you know, I really didn't think that the tornado potential was all that high. But these are what we call mesoscale accidents that are happening. And it just goes to show you that anytime you have a lot of instability in the atmosphere, you need to watch for these. And it doesn't always happen. Sometimes you get these storm clusters and they just wind up killing everything. But then sometimes you get them like this and they just, you know, it's just the way weather is. You know, sometimes things happen. So, and that's what's kind of happened here. Fortunately, these are mostly over rural areas. Of course, we're not you know, letting our guard down even in those areas. But fortunately, most of these have been in rural areas. So. If we look at the current velocities here, looks like the rotation's increasing. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe some type of new tornado warning come out here for this part of the storm. And it's not moving any at all, but there is rotation there. It's only drifting. I don't even know how you can draw a box there because it's just not moving much. We go down to the south. You know, you got a little rotation there southeast of Centerville. Down into the Manitou area. It looks like, see, is this another one trying to develop here? You know, there was a day back several years ago. It hadn't been any time soon. It's probably back in the earlier parts of like maybe 2011, 12, somewhere in there, maybe like 2012, 13, somewhere in there. There was a day like this down in North Texas. And the day was, you know, you didn't have real strong wind shear, but you had a lot of instability or cape. And you had some boundaries down there. And it seems like every storm that developed that day produced tornadoes that day. And sometimes this is kind of like what's happening up here in Oklahoma here today. Just a lot of instability, a lot of stuff for them storms to feed on, and then here we go. It looks like there might be an outflow boundary that's developed from this storm here. It looks like there might be some rain-cooled air that's been generated by the storms up to the north. So, you know, that could wind up trying to undercut the updraft some with that one, maybe. But, you know, if we look at the velocity, there's nothing organized. You can see you can see the rotation, folks. I mean, west of Frederick, you can see it there. It's spinning, and it looks like, I don't know, did the Weather Service go with a warning with that? Let's see here. Yeah, I guess that they do have a warning out for that cell there. I guess they did go with a warning for this cell here. There's been so many moving in weird directions today, it's hard to keep up with them. But yeah, there is a little bit of a warning there that continues. I think that the Weather Service continues the warning for this part of the storm up here, though, which, again, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, those are the guys that issues the warnings. They're not me. But you know, if it drifts down to the south, there could be a threat there in Frederick. I don't know that it will, though. I think the storm to the south may keep it from doing that. And then there's this rotation back broad west of Frederick. I don't see anything imminent there at that one at this time. Nothing that shows any signs of rotation there. So. And you, like I say, you may wind up seeing this generate to a cold pool. There's a new thunderstorm that's developed just north of Lawton now, so the threats for heavy rain and storms may be increasing around Lawton now. And now here's a decent storm developing just right over Burke Burnett. I wonder if I could see. That's so hazy, I doubt I could see it. I was going to see if I could see it from my Wichita Falls tower cam. And you wouldn't see rotation with that just yet. You just wouldn't see it. So it's just too much. It hadn't developed. It's not organized enough. And there's a few storms down there near Knox County, but those aren't able to really sustain themselves much. So, looks like we now got a severe thunderstorm warning for most of northern parts of Comanche County. We'll see if we get any tornado warnings or upgrades on those. It's just so much going on over here. It's really hard to keep up with it all. Really hard. You know, it's just hard to. I see a really good developing thunderstorm now west of Lawton. It's kind of drifting towards the Cache area, and there could be some hail increasing with that storm too. And if it behaves like the storms off to the west, then at some point in time it could contain a little rotation. We may have to keep an eye on it. I wonder if Lawton's got the tower cam pointed. I don't have control of the Lawton tower cam. That's our sister stations. They're the ones that keep up with that. But there's the Lawton tower cam. You can see the lightning off to the west there, but it's so hazy it's hard to see anything right now, to be honest about it. Let's see if Castaway shows anything. You can certainly see from my Castaway Cove tower cam here anyway. You can see dark skies off to the north. Let me see. I'm going to move my tower cam, my Wichita Falls tower cam around here in just a minute. Let me get logged in. So we're going to kind of view it back to the right a little bit, where that sky's a bit darker. Now let's go back to the radar and kind of take a look at what's going on, see if there's anything new here. Nothing really new with no new warning here. So this is a new tornado warning that covers northwestern parts of Comanche County, and that's for the rotation. Well, remember I was telling you I saw this increase in circulation up here, and that's what the warning is for. So we got tornado warning for northwestern Comanche County. We can take a look there at the rotational velocities there. And if you look at it, there's nothing significant in terms of rotation there. It's pretty broad, but it's kind of drifting kind of just south and southeast there through Comanche County, well west of Medicine Park, well north of Cache. I know the warnings go down there, but the storms are moving very slowly. And it's going to take a long time for them to get down that way, and by then they may not even be producing anything. So, the tornadic part of the thunderstorm back to the west, I don't see a lot of rotation there at this time. I am going to watch the new little storm that's developing here, kind of west of Lawton. That's got some increasing signs of hail with it, and we'll see if that updraft gets to spinning a little bit there too. It possibly could. You can actually almost see a little bit there near Indiahoma trying to develop, but nothing imminent right now. If we look over, there appears to be a circulation now near Manitou. Nothing strong, but there's a little developing circulation there. And we go down to the south, and I'm still not seeing much there near Frederick, but at times that one too has tried to spin a little bit. But that storm is over the radar, so it could be difficult to see that one. Sometimes when that rain is over the radar, it can be a little harder to see. There is looks like a shower over Wichita Falls. And things have really changed a lot. You know, I'll be honest about it, folks. Things have really changed a lot over the last couple of hours. We knew we would see some severe weather. We had no doubt about that. But it looks like our atmosphere is super moist. And that's allowing these storms to sustain themselves even in the early evenings. You're seeing a ramp up in what's called the low-level jet. And the low-level jet is the winds in the lower kilometers, the lower parts of the atmosphere. And when you see that ramp up a lot of times, it'll help with moisture transport. And that's feeding these thunderstorms here. So it looks like there's going to be pretty good thunderstorm coverage over southern parts of Oklahoma tonight. Already is, but it could be even more. You can even see it back building some here. The question is, and our model data is basically going to be useless now, will these storms find a way to generate boundaries that are able to penetrate down into North Texas and get storms here too? Right now, it looks like your better chances for storms will kind of be in this area here. But, you know, this is kind of one of those minute-by-minute type forecasts. It's hard to be able to, you know, really be able to accurately gauge. There, you know, showers are now popping up over Wichita Falls. That's probably some of the remnants or some of those storms that were out west earlier. So there's a storm also developing north of Lawton and west of Lawton near Cache. They don't really look like supercells right now, but remember, they're going to interact with these storms north and west of them, and that could wind up changing the game a bit. So don't be surprised if we get some, if we start seeing those storms begin to increase a little bit there. Rotational-wise, you don't see a lot in the way of spin developing with that part of the storm yet. In fact, the might be a little bit, perhaps maybe, of something here possibly. Maybe a little bit there, northwestern Comanche County, but nothing major. But, you know, keep in mind, this is not moving very fast. So just because there's a warning downwind doesn't mean that that storm's actually going to get there. Actually, a little bit of rotation showing up there now on the west side of Frederick. And, erratic storm motion here, too. Looks like the storm west of Frederick has generated an outflow boundary. You know, you're kind of seeing that right there. But, you know, you want to watch this area here and see if it can maintain any type of circulation there. Very erratic for sure. But that is a supercell. You can see the hook developing on it now. It's moving right over Frederick, and it's slowly moving east, southeast. Storm near Burnt-Burnett has fallen apart. Just the atmosphere down south of Red River, it's just not been as good as up north. They've had a real hard time sustaining themselves. Real hard time. So, you know, it looked like it was about to go, and then it just didn't. You know, even the ones over here in Knox County, as soon as they move away from the dry line, they pretty much weaken. There are some storms west of Seymour, but I don't know. It seems to be Oklahoma is the spot. You know, that's the spot, and it's going to be with all that heavy, those storms up there. The rain is falling down heavy, and there's going to be some pretty big floods there. It's up here in Oklahoma. Looks like we got a new hook developing on that storm near Lakeside Village. I don't see any significant rotation. But remember, these storms are going to have to interact with those boundaries in order for them to spin. This isn't like, like I said, like last Saturday, whenever they had a lot of stuff going for them, that we're going to really help allow any storm that could be a supercell to spin. These storms are kind of just doing their own thing, but they're interacting with each other, and that's what's creating the spin. I do see a bit of an increase in the circulation just west of Frederick. Let me see if the Weather Service says anything about that. Ping pong size hail reported in Frederick at this time. Just seeing some hail reports there, but nothing else there. Let me see if there's any new pictures here. Oh, yeah, you can see. I see the video of the tornado there from earlier there in Tillman County. Pretty small. New tornado warning coming for circulation approaching Frederick. So tornado warning is coming out for the storm we've been tracking. So this will be a new tornado warning that's coming out for the western side of Frederick. We got a little circulation showing up here, right in this area. It doesn't appear to be super tight yet, but it's real close to the radar site, and we could be seeing it try to get better organized. So we'll have to see if that circulation will increase. But tornado warning is coming out for Frederick here momentarily. Let's do another weather update in the next commercial break, please. Next national break, that is. So there's your new, the new warning's not out yet, but it should be coming out here soon. Don't worry, let's not, this warning, this part of the warning here for Frederick, don't pay attention to that. That was for a storm to the north. What we want to watch is the new warning coming out for, you know, this part. It doesn't appear to be strongly rotating, but it is there, and it could spin up pretty quickly. So if you're in Frederick, there's your new warning. That's the one I want you to watch there. This is for Tillman County. This covers Hollister. This is going to stay north of the Red River, by the way. You're down into Wichita and Wilbarger County. You know, unless this thing were to take more of a nosedive. And like I said, the environment in North Texas doesn't appear to be as favorable as it does up there in Oklahoma. But it does appear as though we do have, you know, a little weak circulation there just west of Frederick, or on the western side of Frederick, which has prompted this tornado warning. It's hard to tell folks in Hollister downwind to, you know, when this is going to be there, because it's moving so slowly. You know, it may not move much over the next 30 minutes over this area here. So flooding is, I think, a big concern too. Tornadoes, there's a little bit of a tornadic circulation there, not much. But it's certainly up there. Let's go back up here in Comanche County, and looks like a little, maybe a little weak spin there continues. Pretty tight couplet there on the northwest side of Comanche County. So there could be a little tornado in those areas. Yeah, it should. So,
Again, man, if you need to, just let us know. We'll get you on earlier.
thank you. So, you know, that's up there, and that was just communicating with my guys up there with Master Control. That's what helps get me on TV. So, yeah, these storms are pretty rough there up there in Oklahoma. They're producing a lot of severe weather hazards anyway. Everything from heavy rain. You know, a lot of this too is going to be flooding. The rotation there that's on the west side of Frederick does not appear to be very strong at this time. It appears to be pretty weak still. Looking for the weather. It's like Peter Dime size hail in Frederick. Let's see if you guys got any questions here. I'm sure you do. Yeah, you know, so I got somebody here, Brandy, says it's clear in Vernon. And, you know, she can look out, and she says she can see, and I understand that. But yeah, those storms are going to stay well north of you there. I'm not concerned about, you know, Vernon at all. You know, you had storms, you had your chance earlier, and they kind of faded out pretty fast. So I'm not too worried about Vernon at this hour. I think it's mostly going to be north of you there in Oklahoma. Yeah, Daniel, it's very weird. This is a very, very unusual, you know, kind of severe storm we're seeing here. It's producing some, you know, erratic storm motions and different circulations and makes it's just you just don't have a lot of strong organization to the atmosphere today, and these things are just basically producing on these boundaries, and these storm interactions is what happens. So. Yeah, Fred wants to know if it's headed to Frederick, and it is, but it's hard to say what's going on with it. The storm, it looks to me like it's trying to organize. I see a couple areas that we're watching a little spin on. There's a little bit there, just barely on the west side of Frederick, and there's another one back to the west, and that's kind of the way some of these other storms have behaved. You may wind up seeing it build backwards some. If we zoom in closer, there's Frederick. There's your radar site there on the east side of town. And I do not see a tight couplet anywhere in there. So I don't believe, at least based upon this radar imagery yet, that there's a tornado anywhere in here. It's real disorganized. And, basically, I think you're all right for now. All right, Jeff is back up in the booth, and he may try to contact you too. I don't know, but I told him we were doing our next cut in here in a few minutes, so hopefully he'll be ready. Sorry, we're trying to organize a little cut in over on News Channel 6. And the way we're handling this today, since a lot of this has been fairly rural, and we're not trying to downplay any of our rural areas by any means, but the way we're handling it is we're trying to keep things, over, commercial breaks. We will be trying to do some stuff on the 24/7 news channel here in a minute, but we're trying to stay, off of your programming, because I feel like I can give you, in these types of situations anyway, good information over the breaks, and you don't have to miss your programming. I know a lot of you don't care if you do, but at the same time, I know a lot of you, care about your shows. So, this is just kind of the way we're trying to do now. We're trying to limit some stuff over there, which we've really done that for a while now. It's only kind of rare situations, a time or two a year, that we actually even do anything, on News Channel 6. So anyway, but we are watching that area. Again, I don't see, if you're in Frederick, the warning is out for you, and there is a little circulation in the west side of town, but I don't see, this is doing like the other one did too. It's moving northwest, kind of out of the tornado warning there. Very odd to see this stuff happen. Very odd. See, there's your hook that developed on the back side. There's a new hook that developed. You have a hook here and a hook up here, developed all on the back side. So very odd to see that. Very odd. This is something you just don't see very often. And this is certainly something that, if you stick around and do weather long enough, you're going to see all kinds of stuff. But this is something that's new to me. Looks like the storms there in the northern part of Comanche County are just basically just have trained over, and it's mostly a big flood threat up there. I mean, they're putting down a lot of rain, and that's some flooding threats there. Could be some wind threats with that too in parts of Comanche County. Lawton, you're about to see a thunderstorm move over you here shortly. I believe that there is a, I don't know, it looks like there might be a severe thunderstorm warning out for it. but there's really no signs of any significant rotation in that storm. I've been monitoring it, and there's a little bit of there, a little puff of wind up there near Cache, but nothing that shows, anything major. I wouldn't be surprised to see those warnings up there canceled here pretty soon. Looks like a little rotation there north of Lawtonka Acres. That down into Frederick. This storm here, continues to spin a couple areas, but nothing that shows significant signs of rotation here. So far today, we have had a couple tornadoes up here in Oklahoma as these storm boundaries kind of interacted with each other, but they've been erratically behaving. We just don't have a lot of strong winds throughout the upper part of the atmosphere. There's some decent winds in the lower parts, but not the upper parts. And I think that's why there's a lot of these erratic storm motions. Not only that, but you're also in a situation where you're looking at these storms interacting with each other, and that's why you're seeing these erratic storm boundaries and erratic storm movements. Weak flow in the atmosphere, interaction with other storms and boundaries, kind of pushing them around some. Trying to answer questions here. I don't do much live on TikTok anymore, Charlie. Sorry about that. I need to do some, but it's real hard to do both. It's real hard to do, your social media platforms when TikTok doesn't allow you to do them from one place. So. Lawton, Megan, I think you're okay for now. There is a storm about to move over you, and mostly just kind of a hail threat. Amanda, I still feel pretty confident that the storms stay north of the Red River, but we'll see if anything changes.
2 minutes out, 2 minutes.
I don't think so. There was a storm over Burkman a minute ago, but it's kind of rained itself out and kind of the storm environment must not be very favorable down into North Texas. So. Because when the storms are trying to develop there, they just fail. You widen it. You got a couple of warnings down. We've had a couple of tornadoes today up there near Kansas City, but these storms appear to be clustering up. There's still that one near Frederick we need to keep an eye on, but it looks like the storms up in Comanche County are really clustering now. So you might just be seeing more of a wind and heavy rain and hail threats up there now, and less of a tornado threat. There's a little storm developing near Cookietown as it approaches 44, moving east towards Walters. So Walters, yeah, you're probably going to get some storms here in a minute. So those are not severe that are moving over you, though. It looks like the circulation might be right over Frederick. There's a couple of them. There's one west of Frederick, one on the west side of Frederick, maybe one kind of northwest of Frederick there too. Listen to him. I got it.
We got like a minute into the cut-in.
Yeah, I got it. Thanks. So again, we'll see. These storms could try to, if they try to develop southward, then North Texas could get in on some of it. But as of right now, that remains to be seen. Just stay with me as we're watching this ever developing situation. So. I got to go.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Stand by.
This is a severe weather alert from the First Alert Weather Team, sponsored by Texoma Storm Shelters.
All right, so we are still tracking a couple tornado warnings up here into Oklahoma. There's a severe thunderstorm warning for Lawton. I can show you that here. And that's for this thunderstorm that's developing over the city now, or just on the west side. That's mostly a heavy rain and maybe a smaller hail producer. As of right now, there are no signs of significant rotation in that. So I'm not really too worried about that storm as of right now. It's kind of developing up towards Cache and Medicine Park, heavy rain in those areas. There's also another tornado warning. Remember, storms are really erratically moving today because of the weak flow in the atmosphere, and also the fact that these are just kind of storms interacting with different boundaries. There's not a lot of rotation up there. There was some earlier. We've been watching this little tornado warning there in northwestern Comanche County, but that storm has really shown signs of weakening there. We can go down to the south, and there is this tornado warning for Frederick. But again, I don't really see anything on radar that suggests that this thing's about to put anything down or producing, but it is kind of over the radar, so it makes it kind of difficult to see. But as of right now, it looks like our main concern with at least this storm over Frederick is hail and heavy rainfall. Now, people have been asking me, is this going to make its way down towards the river, down towards North Texas? Well, most of this activity is staying north of the Red River, but we'll have to see what these storms are erratically moving today, and it's really hard to track them. But if we're going to see anything, it'd probably be at this storm here if it could somehow or another make its way and develop into this area. But for now, I'm going to keep a storm just north of the Red River, so eastern Cotton County, eastern parts of Tillman County, southern Tillman County, maybe over into Cotton, Comanche, and maybe some storms developing over into Stevens and eastern Comanche and over here into Cotton County. Those are the areas we're concerned with for right now. Biggest concern with those cells remains hail, wind, and flooding. Flooding is a big concern with some of those slow movers, with a lower end chance they could still spin something up, although I don't think that chance is all that high. They could still do so, so we'll keep an eye on it. Remember, we are live right now on our 24/7 news channel and also on Facebook Live. You can join us over there.
This has been a severe weather alert from the First Alert Weather Team, sponsored by Texoma Storm Shelters.
Thanks, guys. All right, so we're wrapping that up now, and we're just continuing to track these storms. Cameron actually did get his wish, and he did get to go out. He talked me into it, so I've sent him. He's gone up there towards the Frederick area to try to take a look at that storm and make sure that it doesn't do anything and get out of hand. Now, again, this is something that we really were not expecting today, and it was really just kind of when those storms kind of interacted. Since then, they really haven't been spinning a whole lot, but since then, but. It might take interactions with those storms, and it might take a situation where it takes, these boundaries and whatnot for it to be able to spin like that. And there doesn't appear to be, at least right now, a lot of that taking place. They've kind of separated themselves from each other. So, still got that tornado warning out there for Frederick. I'm seeing if the Weather Service is saying anything new about that particular storm here. Looks like the Wichita County storm spotters are getting out just to be on the safe side. And again, if you're over in Lawton, it looks like these storms that are developing over you, this is mostly a heavy rain and a smaller hail threat. There really is no circulation. That one's not very well organized. There might be some really broad rotation. I mean, I'm talking really broad, up there towards Medicine Park. But that looks like more like a damaging wind signature to me. It's kind of a divergent signature, and whenever the winds begin to move apart like this, and that's what they're doing here. Oftentimes it indicates a downburst, so there could be a little bit of a downburst with some strong winds up here towards Medicine Park. You go north, and there might be a very weak little needle-nose tornado there southwest of Apache, but nothing major with that. Back down to Frederick, and it'll be interesting to see what this storm looks like over Frederick. You can see it's right over the radar spot. So when that happens, it's raining on the radar dome, and oftentimes whenever the storm is right over the radar site, it makes it hard to see because you got to think the radar is looking in the horizontal. It can look vertical too, but it has to look horizontal before it can look vertical, if that makes sense. So it's not going to be able to look right above it. So you don't really know what that storm looks like on the east side of Frederick, kind of headed towards Hollister. It appears to be two storms in here. It appears to be a storm, this updraft here, the storm near over the eastern side of Frederick and Hollister, and it appears to be another updraft over this way, kind of west of Frederick in those areas. If you look, the velocities, neither one really show anything major in terms of rotation at this time. Most of what they're showing is fairly weak, but there is some counterclockwise spin up there. But like I was saying, you just don't know what's going on over the radar site. It's really tough. It looks like, though, there might be some type of a circulation still there on the east side of Frederick, maybe. I'm trying to see if there's any reports here. Let's see here. All right, on County CR 185, US 183, Frederick Fire Chief reports a lowering on the Frederick storm. Getting reports, Medford, okay, that's not here, so we got a lot, as you can imagine, with a lot of chasers and a lot of people, spotters out on the storm there in the Comanche County and into the Tillman County areas. So we got you covered. This stuff's not gonna surprise us. I mean, like I say, maybe the forecast is a little bit surprising here today, but that's weather. It happens. But as far as anything happening, we're all over it. The spotters got you covered, the Weather Service got you, and I got you here too. So remember what I always say: trusted sources of weather information is your best ones. That's your best. That's your best hopes. Stay away from those troll sites. But like I was saying, it looks like there's two updrafts that's just kind of drifting through Tillman County. You kind of have a bit of a slow northward move on the left side, kind of just south of Tipton, and you got the storm, other storm over like Frederick, that's just kind of drifting as well. Now I'm keeping up with reports here. Another spotter reports second lowering east of Frederick. So we are getting reports now of lowering in this thunderstorm. If we take a look here more at the velocities, yeah, you're starting to now be able to see it a little bit better. It's starting to kind of emerge from the radar site. So it looks like to me anyway that there is a decent circulation either over or just east of Frederick. Pretty decent circulation trying to show up there now. Remember though, these storms have been moving erratically, and oftentimes when they do develop this circulation, they won't necessarily move in the direction they're going now. They could wind up moving back north, northwest. You just don't know. That's why it's best just to remain weather aware. So I see two areas of circulation. The one on the east side of Frederick appears to have tightened up a bit. Then you got this one kind of south of Tipton, kind of northwest of Frederick. So there are two areas in there that are showing signs of rotation. And you can see some pretty strong winds coming down on the back side, perhaps here, of the northern storm. That might help it spin a little bit. As far as the storm, this is called reflectivity, but that storm continues to just be a beastly storm up there near Frederick, and it's producing a lot of rain, folks. There's a lot of rain in a short period of time, very heavy rain, which is going to result in flooding. The question remains, though, will these storms find a way down into North Texas? It's hard to say. Like I've been saying all along, it's real difficult to make forecasts with this. Our weather allowing information that we look at have not handled this situation all that well today. They really haven't, and they're just not going to handle these situations oftentimes when you get these weak shear high cape environments. Usually they over-convect. They usually put too many storms out there in these situations, but today there's just just one of those things. It's just called chaos, and it's just a mesoscale chaotic situation up here that's caused all of this. But like I said, this is a wall cloud forming 1 mile east of Frederick. So we definitely got, so it looks like there was a tornado on the ground southwest of Apache. And we were actually showing you that a minute ago up here. And this is going to be just north of maybe the very far northern parts of Comanche County. So that was with this here. Very weak tornado at anything. It was very, very weak there, very weak. We're going to go down into Lawton here, and Lawton, you still like you're in pretty good shape, at least from a tornadic type of standpoint. Looks like we got a downburst signature perhaps maybe on radar north of you, but I don't really see a circulation as of now either way with that storm. That storm's kind of stretched out. It really didn't have a supercell look to it. These storms, earlier they had really nice supercells look to them, but they don't look like that anymore really. But the ones down here in Tillman County really does. I think those storms up north, they're starting to ingest a lot of rain cooled air, and I think that's what's hurting them up that way. This one down to the south is still tapping into an untapped resource down into North Texas. It does appear as though it's trying to drift a little bit to the south. It's not doing so very quickly. But, it is something that we do need to keep an eye on and make sure it don't try to go down further south into Comanche, down into the southern parts of Tillman County, and then try to wind up down into Wichita County. I did get Cameron out. Looks like Cameron is, I really have no idea where he's at. Let me see. So I know he's going north toward the Frederick area. So I can actually pull up my app here and look for him. So he is, Cameron is on his way to that particular storm, and it looks like he's driving northward up interstate or Highway 287, and will probably cut north on 70 to try to intercept that storm there once he gets up in Oklahoma. So, what'd you say, Cameron?
With that storm, I have a way to move east with it.
Good. All right. Good. So Cameron is in his element. He's excited. I know he is. He loves to chase storms. So, Cameron, and I know you can hear me through Unity, but it looks like that storm. It's been hard to track because it's been right over the radar site, and these storms have been so erratic today. It's real difficult to tell their movement. But it just appears as though you've got two updrafts. You got one over the east side of Frederick, and then another one kind of north of Frederick. And then it looks like the storm may be down that you're kind of going up towards Hollister, maybe drifting a little bit south and southeast, something like that. So we'll have to watch that, because if that can happen, it may find a way into southern and southeastern Tillman, and maybe even northern Wichita County. It's hard to say though at the moment.
Yep. Well, I'll be watching it, so I'll be there in like 30-ish minutes, like to Hollister.
Yeah, that's perfect. You should be able to easily make it there. Should get some good video of that too. So. All right, so we're keeping an eye on this though here, and I'm looking at velocities, and I don't see huge rotation, but there again, it's over the radar site, so it's really difficult to tell. Let's see here if I got anything new from the weather service here. So it looks like they did have a funnel cloud coming down 1 mile east of Frederick. This is a pretty good source too. This is the EM Tillman County emergency director here. He's been doing some good jobs with it today, and he's been sending some good pictures. Well, they did have a funnel cloud there with this storm. That one that Cameron's actually going after, just kind of east of Frederick. All right, so we got a cone-shaped funnel cloud extending down to the ground. So it sounds like the Tillman County storm is looks like it's almost producing, if it hasn't yet. Starting to get rain wrapped, funnel cloud halfway to the ground. So it sounds like this storm here in Tillman County, right over the radar site, is man, please don't hit the radar site. That's our bread and butter. We can't make it without that. But it sounds like this thing is trying to produce a tornado right over the radar site. And it's not moving very fast either. And I can't give the all clear for Frederick at all. If you live on the east side of Frederick, you need to be taking shelter. Kind of rain wrapped. Looks like we got something trying to develop down to the ground, and it could touch down at any time. Lost visual of funnel at the current time. So you can see it's gotten wrapped in rain. But since it's over the radar, I'm not going to be able to tell you, hey, this thing is producing right now. All I can tell you is it looks like it possibly could be producing. And you can see the circle, and I know sometimes these can be hard to see, but it's right in there. This is inflow. This is that really tropical, soupy, humid air feeding into the storm and wrapping around it. And then this here's your push out there. That's your RFD, and it looks like they could be interacting with each other pretty good. So pretty good little circulation, perhaps right over the radar site. And this is the reflectivity, and we needed to get away from the radar so we can start being able to see it again a little bit better. That would certainly help us out some here. So in Lawton now, yeah, you do got some thunderstorms over you, and then there's a little hook. Let's see here. I'm reading the chat here.
Something about a tornado in Boone. I don't know if that's close or not.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Boone, so I'm not sure. What I'm looking at now is mostly with the Frederick storm. That's the one we're mostly kind of concerned with right now. So, they've been sending some pictures over here. Wow, that was a big tornado. That was in Grady County though. So I don't have any new pictures of that storm coming out yet, but we'll continue to track the reports. That's what we really want now is reports. All right, let's scroll down here. So I'm keeping an eye on that. But anyway, in Lawton at this hour, just some heavy rain, and it doesn't even look like there's a lot in the way of hail threats there at this time. You know, you do have, maybe some gustier winds, but that just doesn't look very well organized to me. So not too concerned about Lawton right now. Just some downpours moving over you. We can follow these little hit and miss thunderstorms all the way down to the Red River. These are small. These are not generating supercell looks to them.
Are you live right now?
Yes.
Okay, I can come back.
All right, thanks. So, we're not generating supercell, looks. These are just small little kind of multicellular type things, kind of developing over from Walters down to about Bourbonnette. And maybe even into Wichita, there could be even a shower or two. But the big supercells trying to come out of Tillman County. Now, you do got some back building and supercell appearances all the way north of Altus now. Those storms have prompted severe thunderstorm warnings and numerous flood warnings along those because they're just not moving a whole lot. They're just kind of drifting. So main concern with those storms up here in the very northern parts of our viewing area is mostly going to be heavy rain, bouts of hail, and little flooding, a lot of flooding actually, and maybe some gusty winds. But you can't rule out a spin up or two. There's been a couple spin ups over in this part of the line, but they're really really pretty weak spin ups as of right now. Then you go further to the east, and we watch these storms down the interstate here, and those are small, non-severe thunderstorms producing mostly heavy downpours. But remember, there's a lot of energy, storm energy with this soupy air out there, and they could at any time, try to get a bit stronger, and then you could wind up seeing them get a little bit more organized. I honestly think, just looking at radar, the biggest storm is this one that's over Frederick right now. That sucker is big. It looks like the Weather Service is monitoring a little mid-level circulation over into Altus here this evening. So, pretty heavy storm over Frederick at this hour. And, it's hard to say, but there appears anyway on radar to be a really strong circulation right over the radar site. Very, very close to the radar, so that's why you can't really see it. And it's not moving quickly. We've been talking about this for a while, but the winds, the outbound winds are really increasing. So you're really seeing a strong circulation over the radar site. There's your winds kind of pumping into. There's your warm inflow, and there's your outflow there, the RFD, and it's a pretty good circulation over the radar site. That's just over the southeast side of Frederick, or very close to Frederick. Looks like it's probably wrapped in rain, but looks like we could have a tornado maybe developing there. And the storm is, again, moving very erratically. It's just kind of drifting east, southeast is where it's kind of drifting. We'll see if this is able to drift south of the Red River. There does appear to be a little bit of what's called convective inhibition beginning to show up, and we kind of talked about this earlier with the loss of daytime heating. Now that the sun's beginning to go down, these might try to weaken some here soon. The ones up north have not yet, but when you look at the radar site, you're beginning to see a little bit of this fuzziness kind of fill in through these areas. This is not real. That is not rain. That's other stuff. The atmosphere. The radar is probably beginning to see a little bit of an inversion up there. So that's probably what that is. And if that's the case, then these storms may last a little while longer, but they'll probably try to weaken a little bit. I would still say by 10 o'clock they should weaken some. So, but watching that storm there, the northwest side of that Frederick storm is trying to drift. It really ain't moving any at all, honestly. Yeah, it's just kind of sitting there. Yeah, that's what happens when you have weak upper level winds. You just don't see a lot of movement. So flooding is definitely a big time concern when you have those. I do want to go up here and look far north. Of course, this is mostly Oklahoma's viewing area here, Oklahoma City's. But I do want to look up this way too. There's been a little circulation there, kind of near Boone and Apache. You can see that. You can see that little tornado. That's a weak tornado, but it's there, right in there. Not very large, probably a little weak tornado. That's why you got the tornado confirmed tag there on that one, the pink color. we go down to the south and we look further south down into Lawton, and there could be some gusty winds over you at this hour, but looks like just mostly just some good downpours there. Oh man, we just lost our live stream. Let me go back and get in this. Yeah. All right, looks like we're back up. I don't know. I thought we lost our stream there for a minute, but I guess we're fine here. So pouring down rain in Lawton. You know, Walters, we'll watch you and see it's not moving very quickly, so maybe we'll see. No funnel cloud outside of Chattanooga, Kayla. Yeah, these storms are putting a lot of lightning out, and as it gets darker, you're going to be able to see a lot of lightning. I'm watching Cameron's feed now in the monitor over here, and you know, I see quite a bit of lightning with his stream, so we can certainly see that. So that's what we're looking at here. Our main concern remains the storm over Frederick at this hour. You know, and like I say, there's a to me anyway, there looks like a really good circulation right on top of the radar site. So I guess we'll know if there's a tornado on the ground because the radar will go dead. Let's hope that doesn't happen, folks, because it can take those a long time to be replaced and fixed if that were to happen. And we need this. This is our bread and butter during severe weather season. We got to have this. There's just no ands, ifs, or buts about it. I mean, there's other sources we can pull from. It's never. None of them are as good as this here. So, but there does appear to be a really nice circulation right over the radar at this time. This is probably a little bit south of Frederick, kind of over rural areas, kind of just west of Hollister a little bit, and the storm is kind of drifting towards Hollister. But that is probably, kind of, if I use my imagination, would say that's probably one of the better circulations I've seen today. Yeah, nothing else from the Weather Service, at least as of the checking on them to see if there's anything new here. Nothing new. A lot of times you'll get the chasers that'll be able to, can talk. Okay, a really good circulation, Cameron, pretty much right over FDR. And it's going to be difficult to be able to. It's really hard to say, how strong it is, but it appears to be pretty strong. But it's hard to say because it's right over the radar and it's not moving any at all. It's just sitting there.
Yeah, it's in that cone of silence right now.
Yeah, it's right on top of it. So it's hard to say. I need it to get out, but it does look like it's got a good circulation in there anyway. So we are keeping an eye on that. Remember, we're live here on Facebook and on the 24/7 News channel. And for those of you that don't know what the 24/7 News channel is, it's digital 6.2. I was thinking it was 6.4, but I was told no, it's 6.2. 6.2. For those of you that do not have like a smart TV or access to our app there, you can find us on the app too. But if you have a Roku TV, then it's going to be streaming on the app there. If you've got the app on your Roku TV, it streams from there. You can go to our website, newschannel6now.com, and go watch live, and you can click it from there. That is our 24/7 news channel. That means that that is a continuous source of news. And when we have breaking events, we can also go over there, and we can also do a lot of our updates, not only Facebook Live, but also on the 24/7 news channel. So it's good to have that. And now I don't have to interrupt your programming as much. So, but I do need to do a cut-in. So. Hey, when we get a chance, next national break, let's do another little cut-in, please. So we're going to do a little cut-in on News Channel 6 during the next little.
It looks like our next national won't be until 57. Is that okay?
Yes, that's okay. Thank you. He text Jeff real fast.
It's a little over 4 minutes away. Just letting y'all know.
But look at how the storms are down to the south of those are just getting eaten up. And as that convective inhibition kicks in, and what convective inhibition is basically what happens is, as long as you have daytime heating going, it's able to fuel those thunderstorms. You have the sunshine out there heating up all this humid air, but as soon as the sun goes down and this Earth's surface starts to cool some, you no longer have the that warm, moist air that's feeding into those storms quite as much. So it creates what's called convective inhibition. You start to see the atmosphere become less favorable for storms. So these thunderstorms, I would expect these storms to begin to die out over the next hour, if not sooner. You'll probably see these begin to die out some. Sometimes if you have enough push in the atmosphere, you can still get storms, even though there's sin involved in it. But you know, it's especially in this type of situation, it could be tough to maintain them. So a storm is just now starting to emerge away from the radar site. We didn't lose the radar site, so it looks like we're going to be okay with that. That is definitely good news. If you're watching in Hollister, though, it is raining really heavily there now. Yeah, see, I thought it was 6.4, but I was informed by somebody from the station it was 6.2. So it's 6.4. That's what it is. It's 6.4. I knew I was right. So anyway, 6.4 is our 24/7 channel. You know, that storm that's over Frederick, you know, Frederick, there might be some rain still on the back side of that there. And the way these storms have been behaving, I can't even put you in the all clear yet because these storms have just been so erratic today. You just don't know. But it is finally beginning to emerge, and it looks like, and it's still hard to tell what's going on with it, very hard. But you know, it looks like there's still a pretty good circulation kind of sitting there over the radar site. Matter of fact, I can see Cameron's feed now, and I can see what looks like a wall cloud, and he's a long way away. He's not that far, but he's still a good ways away from it.
2 minutes out.
But Jeff, if you're up there in the studio, I'll take Cam's feed this time, please. So Cameron, I am going to come to you this time. So, but very, very difficult to be able to watch this on radar. But I definitely see what looks like a wall cloud. Looks like a wall cloud there. You know, I can't hear you, Cameron. You're breaking up. So, yeah, but now it's getting a little bit darker. It's going to be a little harder to see these things. But, you know, one of our best chases we've ever had here in the storm tracker was at night. So, okay, so we do have Cameron's feed up there. Looks like the feed is up on the
1 minute out.
all right, so Cameron's feed is up right now. So, Jeff, let's go back to radar real fast, and then I'll take Cameron as soon as yeah, there we go. And this is just going to be a commercial break type of thing. We're not going to stay on wall to wall for it, so.
Stand by.
This is a severe weather alert from the First Alert Weather Team, sponsored by Texoma Storm Shelters.
All right, so we're tracking a lot of bad weather up in Oklahoma tonight, especially over there in Tillman County. There's some non-severe thunderstorms around Lawton right now, producing some downpours, but the heaviest activity kind of in this line over the northern part of Comanche County, and then kind of back to the north of Altus. Those are some heavy rain producers, producing some, putting down a lot of rain and some flooding, and could be some big hail in some of these storms. And from time to time, there's a little rotation, but the only one on radar right now that really looks concerning is this storm here that's near the radar site in Frederick, Oklahoma. Some pretty strong circulations being noted there on radar. Hard to say what's going on with it because it's so close to the radar site. Remember, the radar scans in the horizontal and it can't look directly above it. But I do have Cameron out and about. Cameron, looks like you got a pretty good wall cloud on the Comanche Nation Entertainment First Alert Storm Tracker as you're kind of heading in that direction. Is that what you're seeing?
Yep, Ken, we do have a confirmed wall cloud, and I'm on US 70. The tracker is pointing due east. We're probably about 10 miles south of the storm itself, but we've got a pretty good look. Now, it's kind of hard to see right now with it. It is dark, of course, but the lightning sharks are letting us get some visual on it, and you can kind of see it right within there. Like I said, it's fuzzy, but there is a wall cloud there, but I don't see a tornado with it. But this thing is slow moving, so I'm able to stay alongside with it. So we'll continue on US 70, and we're going to continue to move alongside with this to see if it does want to try to produce a tornado.
It's got pretty good circulation on radar, but it's, it's a couple of circulations, and it's hard to tell right now what's going on with that storm. But like you say, it is only drifting, it's not moving much at all. But you can definitely see, if you kind of widen it just a little bit there, you can definitely see the little wall cloud. There it was. You can see it poking on down there. You can stop right there. There's your wall cloud there with it. Definitely no tornado at this point in time, but it does have some good rotation with it. So it could wind up putting something down, and it's kind of a rural area. It's kind of just east of Frederick, but we'll continue to watch it. But stay safe out there, Cameron, and we'll still be in touch with you here throughout the evening. Quickly back over to the radar. Again, these storms are really erratic. They're really not moving much. They're just kind of drifting. It's kind of drifted over Frederick and the radar site. Looks like the worst of the weather's now out of Frederick, but kind of headed into the Hollister area. So could be maybe a little rotation moving into Hollister shortly, and from there it's just going to kind of drift over the eastern parts of Tillman County. As of right now, these storms look to stay north of the Red River, but we'll keep an eye on that one as well. Let's go back to programming. Remember, we're live on the 24/7 news channel. That's 6.4 on digital. We're on the website, watch live, newschannel6now.com, and also on Facebook.
This has been a severe weather alert from the First Alert Weather Team, sponsored by Texoma Storm Shelters.
And the new warning covers the eastern parts of Tillman County. This replaces, I believe this replaces the old warning there. So reissued to downstream circulation near east of Frederick. Yeah, so that's what that basically is. We do got a funnel cloud on the Hollister storm 3 miles south of Frederick. So, I'm looking at the stream here on my end, and I see a nice wall cloud, but I don't see the funnel. But the emergency manager might be in a better position to see it. We're still a little bit of a ways away from it, but Cameron is moving right alongside with it there, so we're going to be able to see it if it does. Of course, it is getting dark outside, so when it gets dark, you can still chase, but as long as you stay in a safe location. By safe location, I mean you stay out away. Don't get right up underneath it. But you're relying on lightning at that point in time to illuminate it. So, and a lot of times when that happens, let's go to the storm tracker now, Jeff. Let's pull that up. Some ominous looking clouds there on the horizon. And Cameron, you just continue to go and doing what you're doing. I mean, if you look off on the horizon there, you can really see what looks like you can see the wall cloud appearing from time to time there on it. Hey Jeff, let's pull up. If you can pull up cams and put it in the feed. There you go. But there's our storm tracker. And once again, you have to wait on the lightning to pop up to be able to see this stuff. If you look from time to time, I'm going to assume that those lights you see on the horizon are probably either Frederick or Hollister. There's your wall cloud. You can see it kind of from time to time. You're kind of showing there, kind of extending down a little bit, but it doesn't look like it's too well organized. I don't see any funnels with it, but I mean it could be there and you just can't see it from our vantage point. But he's not far from it. Good view, good air, a real flat open country up that way. So if we do see something, we'll definitely be able to show you right here. All right, let's go back over to the radar. I got that up. If I see a funnel, I'll be sure to tell Jeff to pop it right back up. Jeff's my producer. He's up there in the booth. He always does a good job and works hard for us there. All right, you're good, man. Go ahead, you're fine. So you need to take a little break. So he's going to take a little break there. So, but if we look at the radar anyway, it's still so close to the radar site. So you have to kind of do some little analysis here, and the little analysis that I'm doing is, it's so difficult because of the proximity to see exactly. But there's some very strong winds blowing towards the radar in this particular storm. if I stop it here, this is probably going to be our inflow, I would think, into the thunderstorm. That's some strong inbound inflow winds there. And, you know, this is definitely going to be winds blowing away from the radar. So you've definitely got, you know, some circulation, pretty strong, but fairly, a little bit on the broad side. And this is over open rural areas there in Tillman County. Oh, we got a big funnel on the on Cameron's tower now, big funnel. Dadgummit, Jeff's not up in the booth, but big funnel there on the tower cam. That was big. Looked like it was almost down to the ground. I think he said it was only going to be gone 2 minutes, but you know, if you see him, I need to get Cameron's feed back up. But yeah, we got a big funnel on the tower cam back, and almost looks like we got a tornado. I can't really tell from this vantage point, but there it looked like there was a pretty big funnel there. Cameron, can you hear me? He might not.
I hear you. Just a little bit in and out because of the cell phone.
Can you see a funnel there on that, or it looks like a funnel from my vantage point, like a big one?
I'm looking right now. I have my little windows down to fight the glare, but I'm watching for lightning strikes. 1 second.
Yeah, there was one shot there. I know you're driving, but there was one shot there. There, you can see it there. Another big funnel heading down to the ground there. We'll get you up here in a minute, but you do. So whenever my producer gets back up there, we'll be able to bring Cam on in again. And those lights you see in the background, again, that's either going to be Frederick or Hollister. I can't really tell. Cameron will be a, that's Frederick. Okay, you know, it's really close to Frederick's. I knew it probably was. Just look.
I'm about 10 miles from circulation, but it's worth it. It's very soupy out here. It's warm.
Oh yeah, that's what's feeding it. That's what's feeding it. So good, thank you. So when we get to whenever Jeff gets up there, we'll try to take Cameron again. But it's you know, a situation where, you know, you've got to wait on the lightning to be able to see it. But this is over mostly rural. This is east of Frederick now, in west of Hollister. I mean, I know we still got people that live in those areas up there, but most of what you see now is.
I am back.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take Cameron now, if we could, please. So Cameron, we're coming to you again. So if we go to Cameron in the Comanche Nation Entertainment First Alert Storm Tracker. Cameron, I saw a pretty big funnel a minute ago on that storm. Of course, you've got to wait for the lightning strikes to be able to see it. What are you seeing right now from your vantage point?
All right, Ken, so I do have a pretty big wall cloud. Again, it's kind of hard to see because you have to wait for those lightning strikes, but I do have a large wall cloud right within there. You can see it right there. There you go. You can see that wall cloud right. We gotta wait for the lightning, but you can see it. There you go. You can see it right there. That wall cloud right there. I've seen some larger funnels trying to come down, but I haven't seen anything make contact with the ground quite yet. And another thing I want to mention, like I just told you in your earpiece, is that you know, these past couple of days, you know, with our, you know, potential tornado producing storms, a lot of the air has been cool. This one's pulling in a lot of warm and humid air, so it's got some warm, what feels like warm RFD going into it, which could help support potential tornado formation with this storm. So right now, we're probably about 10 miles south of Frederick, and we're moving right alongside this thing. So I'm probably gonna keep pushing down US 70 and stay alongside this as it does go eastward.
All right, thanks a lot, Cameron. Let's go back over to the radar, if we could there, please. Time right now is 9:06, and you know, I actually do like this, being able to cover things like this on the 24/7 news channel and Facebook Live. You know, just be able, I don't have to interrupt programming, and we can keep people safe. You know, but it's mostly rural. If this was about to impact a real heavily populated area, we'd probably be on with it. But you know, you can really see if I stop this from spinning here, it doesn't. Now I'm watching his feed there. This is just west of Hollister, or just kind of in between Fred, and it's not moving much at all. It's really slow, but it's a big wall cloud on our tower cam. But if you take a look here. You know, at least on radar, it doesn't appear to be a tornado with it, but the winds are strong. You got real strong winds blowing back in here towards the radar, and then here's your winds blowing away from. So you've got a circulation somewhere in here, kind of between Frederick and Hollister. I can see it confirmation with this big. It's a big wall cloud, and it is what we call a ground scraping wall cloud. That means it's got a lot of moisture feeding into it. And you know, it's got nice updraft rotation in it, but you don't see the super tight couplet yet. that you'd expect to see with a tornado. I mean, I've seen a couple of funnels that have tried to come down off of it, but there was one image a little while ago that Cameron had where he drove right past it, and you could see a really nice funnel extending down, but that's no longer the case. And of course, at night when you're watching these things, it's a lot more difficult to be able to, to discern what you're looking at. I can't tell you how many times I get pictures of some phantom tornado in the middle of the night when really and truly it's just a cloud sticking down to the ground. So it happens all the time. But I do not, at least from this vantage point, and it is hard, I will admit, it's harder at night to be able to, at least from a visual standpoint, be able to see these things. But that is a really, really blocky, low-hanging wall cloud there with that storm.
Yeah, this is massive. I still do not see it hit the ground.
Yeah, nothing hitting the ground yet.
Hang on, we might have something trying to come down. Might have something trying to come down, maybe.
All right. Well, I got you up here on my feed, and I can see you, so we'll know when something is there. But yeah, that's a really blocky wall cloud. Hey Jeff, go back to Cameron's feed there. It's just really cool to see this, and since it's really out there in the middle of an open field, you might see something there every now and again. The lightning will pop, but again, it's hard to tell because it is dark. But every now and again, you'll see something in there that shows something trying to extend down to the ground a bit. That might be a little bit of a funnel cloud, but nothing that's looking like a tornado that's on the ground. Years ago, I did see that there. Yeah, you can kind of see it's trying. Cameron, I got you up now. You might as well talk and just kind of describe what you're seeing there from your vantage point, because you're out there in it, and we're just looking at it on a monitor. So are you seeing something a little different than we are?
Yeah, so we do have a very, very large wall cloud, and it's hard to tell the finer details of how well structured it is, but it looks to be pretty well structured. Letting this person pass beyond me. But it looks pretty well structured, and there is a funnel that is trying to come down but is not on the ground right now. But there is a funnel trying to drop out of this right now, and it looks like it'd be pretty sizable. But again, the downside is you just gotta wait for those lightning strikes, which is why I did my window down just because the glare of the radio and everything. But it looks like that funnel cloud has now picked back up again. But it tries to come down pretty quickly. You'll see it on the best way to put it is on the left side of that wall cloud on your screens where we're watching for a wall cloud dropping down. But again, another thing too is this air that's pulling in. We're starting to really feel the wind kick up with this right now where I'm at, which is probably about 7 to 10 miles south of it, and it's pulling in some really warm, soupy air, which is for the past couple of days, Saturday too, you felt a lot of cool air being pulled into these storms. So right now, it's some pretty warm air coming in. Looks like we've got some sirens coming by, so I might pull off again. But yeah, right now I don't see anything in the ground. It's got a very large wall cloud on it, and it has shown a funnel multiple times. It just has not been able to come down the ground quite yet. So we'll keep an eye on it, see if it does want to produce. And this thing is slow moving, so I'm able to move very well just right alongside it.
All right, Cameron, well, you stay safe out there. And that is a fantastic shot of the wall cloud there, man. That is a really good shot. This thing has got some good spin. You can see the upper level mesocyclone there when it lightnings almost nonstop. It's a strobe light, but boy, that thing is very well developed. I don't know that it's producing a tornado yet, but yeah, it certainly could be about to do so. I'm trying to look here at the Weather Service to see if there's anything new from them. Yeah, nothing new from the Weather Service. So, just large wall cloud and Hollister storm. The same thing you're seeing still. So it looks like we've also got maybe a warning coming out for Indiana. So we've got a tornado warning now for Southwest. So what we need to do is on News Channel 6, we need to do a weather update here during the next break, please. So we've got a new tornado warning out there for southwestern parts of Comanche County. It does not include Lawton, but it does include kind of south of Cache and kind of south of Indiana. Pretty significant circulation showing up there.
Our next break's at 15:10, so it's a little under 3 minutes.
That's fine. We can do that. That's good. So we got two fairly significant tornadic circulations showing up there. Both of which are not moving very quickly. They're just kind of drifting east, southeast. Folks, I will be honest about it. All right. So I did see last night looking at the weather data, and I told Cameron this. I said, Shear's not bad tomorrow. Shear really isn't that bad tomorrow. The thing that kept me from pulling the trigger on a higher tornado threat was the fact that the upper level winds didn't appear to be that strong. But, you know, the models did show the significant tornado perimeters in southern Oklahoma going up this evening. They nailed it, actually, even though you didn't see a lot of strong mid and upper level winds with it. It didn't take much. There's enough instability that it overcame that, interacting with storm boundaries. And, you know, these things are producing some pretty significant circulations at this hour. That one that Cameron is on is almost right over Hollister. Big wall cloud with that one. And then and it's drifting to the southeast right at Loveland. It should go south of, should go perhaps maybe if it continues on that track, could head towards Granville. But that's a pretty good circulation. It doesn't look extremely tight, but there are some really strong winds showing up there. And of course, Cameron's feed really confirms that story. That is a big wall cloud. You know, like I say, it isn't producing anything yet, but we also got another circulation up here into Oklahoma, Comanche, and the far eastern parts of Tillman County. Even though the little polygon shows Indiahoma and Cache in that warning, this circulation is going to, at least initially, is going to pass south of you and well west of you. Don't worry about it that. But it's down to the south that you may have to worry about that. It's Tillman County. That's the one that's getting smashed right now, is Tillman County at this time. And there's our reflectivity. Not only are we looking at tornadoes, but you know, these storms are producing a lot of rain, a lot of flooding, a lot of hail. And it's again, just slowly drifting. I still think these storms will stay north of the Red River. You know, yeah, despite the increasing sin on radar, you can see it all over the place. They're still maintaining themselves. So we're about to go live here on News Channel 6 for a minute. So you might see me go quiet for a minute. So give me a second here once we get into this break. And then we'll, of course, we're live on the 24/7 News Channel, 6.4. You can find us on the website. You can also find us on our app, Facebook Live. You know, thankfully, these storms are staying out over mostly rural areas. That's the good news. Boy, we've been hit with a lot of severe weather lately, folks. It's been a long time since we've seen weather pattern like this, a long time. Last Thursday night, Saturday, and then tonight. Tonight's a bit of a surprise. The severe part of it, no, not a surprise. But the tornadic part of it definitely is a little bit of one. I don't even think the Storm Prediction Center even had a risk down here for tornadoes today.
This is a severe weather alert from the First Alert Weather Team, sponsored by Texoma Storm Shelters.
All right, we got 2 tornado warnings now. We're tracking both of which are in southern Oklahoma. These are well north of the Red River. We got a tornado warning out. It's kind of along the line of Tillman and Comanche County. This is the newest one. This warning does include Indiahoma and Cache, but it looks to me like, at least on the latest radar scans, that the circulation, which was pretty good a little while ago, which is kind of broadened out some now. But there still could be a little tornado there across northeastern Tillman County. This is moving, at least at this hour, or at least at this time, moving more south. So as of right now, this is going to stay southwest of Indiahoma and Cache. But we'll see if the erratic movements continue and we see that thing begin to kind of track back east a little bit. But as of right now, that's what we see on radar with that. Now the other storm is the one down to the south, and there's a lot of bright colors showing up. I think it's because it's so close to the radar site, and it is producing a lot of strong winds there, and it's got some really strong spin in it. We got the Comanche Nation Entertainment First Alert Storm Tracker down there near Hollister. Cameron, we still got that big wall cloud on the camera there.
Yep, Ken, got a big wall cloud, and it's been trying to produce multiple funnels, and as of right now, nothing that I can see that is on the ground right now. However, visibility is, of course, a little bit more difficult at night because of the lightning. However, what has changed in the past couple minutes is we are starting to see the development of a beaver tail, which does show some better inflow into that storm. So we have that beaver tail now very well defined and visible. So it's still ingesting a lot of air, and the thing is, the air that it is ingesting, it is warm and it is humid. So that is the air a storm needs to thrive. So the latest right now is we're on I-70. We're continuing to push east, and because of how slow this is moving, we're able to keep up with it very well and continue to keep eyes on it the entirety of its time right now. But as of right now, I don't even see any significant funnels on it right now. It's been trying to produce funnels. It has shown funnels. They're larger funnels, but they have not touched the ground yet. Not that I've seen yet, Ken.
It's very, very close to Hollister, and the radar is down there in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. The inflow notch on this, and it looks like there may be a tighter bit of a circulation now, probably on the south side of the Hollister community there. You can see almost where the greens and the reds, and you know, these blue colors, oftentimes when it's so close to the radar, and oftentimes whenever it gets this close to the radar and the winds are strong like that, the radar gets kind of confused and puts that. But you just know those are strong, called outbound winds there. But you can see a little bit of a tightening, or trying to tighten there near Hollister on the south side of the community there, right along East 1850 Road. If you live in those areas, you know about where that's at. So this is still fairly rural, but very close to the Hollister community. And then it's going to kind of drift down towards perhaps Loveland. Not moving very quickly, but certainly does bear watching here. And again, Cameron has a great wall cloud there on his feed there. You can see him moving around, and he's just right there with that particular storm. So Cameron is right near Hollister. There's your strong low. That's a strong low-level inflow into the storm there, and it's kind of wrapping on back around. And then you got the strong winds pushing out. So you do got a little bit of a circulation, a tighter circulation, very close to. I don't know that it's about to produce a tornado, but it could be, and we just can't see it because of number one, it could be a little rain wrapped, and then number two, it's dark outside. So let's put Cameron's feed back up once again, and we're going to go back to programming here in just a moment. But there's your feed once again of that wall cloud on our tower cam. I think, excuse me, on our chaser cam there. So I think these storms will stay north of the Red River. So we're going to go back over. We're on the 24/7 news channel, that's 6.4, and on Facebook Live for continuous coverage. We'll go back to programming now here.
This has been a severe weather alert from the First Alert Weather Team, sponsored by Texoma Storm Shelters.
Here tonight up there in Oklahoma, and you know, you got the double box there. You got Cameron in one box there, and you got our radar site in the other. You know, you can see some lights off on the horizon. That's probably some homes there, some farmland, a lot of farmland out here. Matter of fact, most of this out this way is farmland. And it seems like oftentimes, a lot of times our strongest storms, tornadoes and stuff, impact kind of this area up here. Hollister, Tipton, Loveland, those areas get a lot. You know, earlier over the weekend, it was Duval had a little tornado down. That cone tornado, it wasn't a very strong one, but it was there. You know, we're fortunate though that that these areas are fairly rural. Like I say, I'm not discounting the folks that live in these communities, because they rely on us too. And these farmers and these people that live out there have seen these storms many times before. You know, this is nothing new to them. So you know, but being out of the open rural areas like this is kind of the better place to, you know, to have it, as opposed to being in somewhere populated. But if you do live out in these communities, I'm sure you're probably going to go outside and look. That's what most of you do. But and like I say, a lot of you probably even know what you're looking at. You know, it's probably not that even that big of a deal for you. But anyway, you know, just my best advice is, if this looks like a tornado is about to hit your, you know, where you live, just make sure you get in your storm cellars. I think most of you probably, a lot of you probably do have storm cellars. If you don't, just get on the lowest level of your house. That's where you want to be, lowest level. And put as many walls between you and the tornado as you can. It's usually going to be like a you know, a closet. The number one tornado safety rule, of course, is put as many walls between you and the tornado as you can. They're turning kind of into HP supercells. I don't want to forget about the one up here, Comanche, and this northern part of the storm. Now in Lawton itself, there's some, you know, heavy rain there north of Lawton, and some hail up towards Medicine Park. There's been some thunderstorms over towards Duncan, but those are the non-severe variety at the moment. You know, the ones we're watching here, there's actually 3 that we're watching. It's going to be this one here, and then this little storm on the backside. You know, it doesn't appear to be tornadic, but it does have some hail in it as it's dropping to the southeast. It looks like to me that the storm up here in maybe in Tillman County could be producing a pretty good outflow boundary maybe. And it looks like that might be it. There's one there, there's one there. So I think there's enough of a cap in place, though, down at the south with this convective inhibition that's increasing, that it's going to be hard for any new updrafts to survive that down in North Texas. Yeah, I'm not ruling out something here later tonight, but I think that the worst of it's going to stay north of us, or at least that's the way it looks to me right now on radar. So I'm going to investigate the northern storm with this tornado warning here, and then we'll go back down to the south. So there's some, you know, it's pretty good circulations in these storms. You see a lot of good inflow and good strong winds wrapping around them on the backside, but you don't really see like real significant couplets. That doesn't mean they're not producing tornadoes or some type of a spin up, but you don't see real significant. I think if you had better wind shear, your upper level winds were a little bit better, I think you might have to worry a little more about that. The one down here near Hollister still shows pretty good spin there, especially just on the east side of Hollister. Cameron, have you got anything? Let's go to Cameron now. Cameron, have you got anything new from your vantage point? Pretty good circulation there, you know, over the Hollister area now. Pretty tight couplet just east of the R in Hollister there. Do you see anything from your vantage point? You might need to move the camera back to the left a little bit because it's you know, it looks like you got the mesocyclone there, but I really can't see the wall cloud. If you're, you know, of course, if you're driving, don't do that. But if you're sitting still, you know, you might want to move the camera a little bit. I'm not sure. What are you doing right now?
Yeah, I just hopped in the back seat so I can adjust the camera. But if you can take a look, you find it's the lightning. There's a, where's it at? There has been a pretty nasty looking wall cloud on this storm, but I still haven't seen any funnels dropping out of it. I heard you making comments about it being high precipitation HP, but you know, this thing has had a nasty wall cloud attached to it right within there, right in the center of your screen. Like I said, we gotta wait for those lightning strikes to kind of illuminate it. But you know, this has had a well-sustained wall cloud, and it is pulling in that rich, warm, moist air right now, but it has not produced anything that I've seen. We've seen some brief lowerings within that wall cloud, but I have not seen any of them come down and hit the ground. But you know, luckily with the good lightning, we are able to see a pretty good visual of it. But that's all I have for right now, Ken. We're still on I-70 right now. I have an option to go north in just a mile, but I think with my current trajectory, I can continue to just ride parallel with this storm and continue to keep a good eye on this thing.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's go back over to the radar here. And, you know, the latest trends there do show, still show, you know, okay circulations there, just kind of east of the Hollister, the R there in Hollister, a couple little areas of spin, but it's not super, it's not as maybe not quite as tight as it would, but it's still decent though. It still looks okay. I still can't rule that out. Still decent right there. You know, and I've got Cameron's feed where I can see it too, so it's a really good look to it. And boy, that is a really low hanging wall cloud there. Really, really, really low. Jeff, double box that if you could, so our people that are watching this on Facebook Live and on 24/7 channel can see this. If you take a look there, you can really see quite a bit of lightning there tonight. And you can see the low hanging wall cloud right there in the middle of it. So let me kind of try to explain to our viewers what a wall cloud is. So a wall cloud is basically it's just condensation, and it takes place as the pressure in that particular part of the storm begins to lower. And you know, you've got different wind circulations and currents going into the storm. You've got warm air coming in, you know, kind of pulling in from one side. You've got another direction of wind pulling in from the other side. You've got some different temperatures there with some rain-cooled air around. So with that condensation, with those temperature differences in there, you get this small area of low pressure that forms. And with that low pressure that's forming and those different temperature contrasts, you get that lowering that takes place right underneath the wall cloud. And again, that's right underneath the updraft. Sorry, and that's where you get the your tornado. That's the mother of it. That's the seed of it. So, but in order to get that wall cloud to extend down and produce a funnel, it has to tighten up. The circulation has to tighten. It's get real tight, and you really need those strong winds pulling into and wrapping around, and that's what kind of fosters that pressure to get even lower and stretch down. It's called horizontal vorticity, and that horizontal vorticity becomes more vertical, and it's what stretches down to the ground. So actually I think it's called streamwise vorticity, but that's a pretty good wall cloud in there. You know, I wish it were a day we could really see, and it's been persistent too, man. It has been a pretty good wall cloud, but we're watching it. Back full screen on the radar if we could. Couple circulations in there at this time. There's the latest update coming in, but it's a lot of rain. But you can see the outflow boundary now being generated. I'm not sure if this storm is generating the outflow boundary or if it's some storms to the north. But there's your outflow. You can see the line there on radar. This is going to be some rain-cooled air here. That's what that is. So if this, as long as this is pushing this way, it doesn't choke off the warm, moist air feeding into the inflow into the thunderstorm. But if it begins to move more like this, it will. But you'd look right in that area for rotation, and if you put the, you know, you still see it. It's still there. pretty good rotation in there too still. And like I said, this is the backside. It's just some really strong winds, and the radar's just doing some funky things as a result of it. But that storm is now moving more east than it is moving southeast. So I think that this is going to go north of Loveland. Remember I said erratic movements with a lot of this. It looks like another tornado. Now this is a fairly tight couplet, and that's probably a small spin up there northeast of the radar site or north of Hollister. I bet we got a little small tornado right there, and that could be another small tornado here. Of course, I see that from our chaser, from the storm chaser. But and I don't see any tornadoes with that one, but this is the one where Cam is. We'll put Cam right there. So Cam is here. And but I do see a little circulation there. But again, you got a funnel. All right, let's go to Cameron here. What do you got, Cameron? You got a little funnel, you say?
Yeah, if we can get the lightning to illuminate this, there is. There you go. You can see it right there. Wait for it to pop up again. There's a funnel right within the center of that wall cloud on the back western edge on your screen. You just gotta wait for that to get illuminated. There you go. You can see it right there. You see that, Ken?
Down.
Yeah, there's a pretty good funnel. I don't see it hitting the ground quite yet. There you go. You can see it right there. It's trying to come down, Ken.
Yeah, it's tight circulation on radar. So let's keep this right here full screen if we could, and Cameron, just let us know if it hits the ground there. But it's got good rotation on radar, and you can see the funnel. There it is. And Cameron's still showing us there. I just had to report to the Weather Service that what we're seeing. We like to report this information to the National Weather Service. And actually, the Weather Service does mention the Hollister. Shoot, we need more wind. But actually, the latest radar update. While it's still a circulation there, it's not quite as impressive as it was. So it may not produce. All right, so Cam says the funnel has actually kind of gone back up now, so we're still trying to see if we can still see it there. Yes, that's the unfortunate disadvantages at night you get. You got to rely on lightning, and if it's not there, then you can't see it. But based upon radar. Yeah, well, I mean, based upon what I'm seeing here on radar, the whole spin is really falling apart. And we got that funnel, and it just kind of went away after that. So we may be seeing some impacts of the convective inhibition. Looks like it's still there. Still got some decent rotation on it there on radar. It's still there. I mean, it's not bad. I still believe there's a little weak tornado in there. Right on this little, I'm not sure what little river or creek. There's a little creek or a river or something in there. And I believe it's right there along that little creek or a little river there between just northeast of Hollister and kind of northwest of Loveland. Pretty weak circulation, pretty strong inflow into it though still. So, but all right, we'll go back over to the radar real fast, and we actually got the newscast coming up here in a few minutes. So we'll probably have to get ready for that here in a minute. But we're still tracking this stuff here in southern Oklahoma tonight. There've been there's been funnel clouds, and there might have been a few tornadoes up here today, most of which have been brief, weaker varieties. There's been a couple big funnel clouds, but we just haven't quite had enough of that low-level spin, or what's called storm relative helicity, to be able to get it down to the ground. You've really got to have, and I still think that the upper-level winds haven't been just overly favorable. I think that's why. And the storm interactions have helped some today, but I think more than anything, we just had a lot of instability. So when you're measuring a potential energy in the atmosphere, you do it with something called CAPE, convective available potential energy. That's what it's called, CAPE. It's an acronym, and you measure it in joules, Joules, and it's an equation that takes into account lots of different things. It takes into account with your temperatures and the dew point temperatures, the Earth's surface, and aloft, and you got to get this big imbalance. And the greater the imbalance is, talking about hot air, humid air to underneath the cloud versus cooler, drier air above it. And that creates a big imbalance. The more you see with that, the higher the CAPE values. And today those CAPE values up there were around what's called 5,000 joules. Anything that's usually over 1,000 is usually sufficient for thunderstorms. But if you start getting those numbers up there into the 3, 4, 5,000 range, that's a lot of energy from to work with. So that can help, especially you just provide just a little bit of some little bits. All you need, just a little bit of a bit of a spin in the atmosphere is all you need, and you're going to get that kind of stuff with these types of storms. I actually see 2 circulations still. This is the one that developed on the back of it. That could wind up becoming the more dominant one. That's probably still maybe a very weak funnel. Yeah, it may be a weak funnel there in there somewhere where you're at, Cameron. It's just hard to say. You got really strong inflow into it, but you know, just looking at from a reflectivity standpoint, a lot of hail there north of you too. But you know, the thing about this one, it's moving so slow that you know, you're not going to have to worry. But you know, the circulation that's back north of Hollister probably going to become the more dominant one. You know, it's hard to say, but I think it's kind of feeding off that outflow boundary, honestly. So, but
that we saw was on the back with that backside rotation.
Well, yeah, I could see that. And I saw that. Yeah, that makes sense because you could see the tornado with that one. It didn't last long, but you could definitely see it for sure. Definitely see it. So. Yeah, and other spotters out there reported that funnel too, so they saw it as well. But it was brief, and like we saw, it was brief. So, are you seeing? Let's go back to Cameron. Cameron, are you seeing much lightning? Can you tell us if you know? You got basically 2 circulations there right by you, so take your pick. You know, which one looks the best?
You know, Ken, that funnel that we saw was actually coming from that backside rotation of the storm. You know, originally I thought we were looking at the front edge of the rotation. I looked at radar and realized that the leading rotation was well ahead of me and that we were looking at the backside. So, you know, what I thought was a torn apart wall cloud, it looked like it was broken in half, was actually just 2 wall clouds. So there's been 2 wall clouds associated with this storm, and I'm looking at looks to be the leading edge wall cloud right now. I actually have pretty good visual of both right now. But I don't see any funnels coming down right now either. Maybe, let's see here. It's hard to see with the lightning strike. Wait for the proper lightning strike to illuminate it. Might have something trying to come down on the back side. Let me get in the back, Ken, and turn the camera and focus on this really quick.
You know, it's hard to say, Cameron, because, you know, like you say, it is night. But, you know, judging on radar, I still think they both look pretty good. But the one that's just east of Hollister, there's actually one just north of Hollister, and there's one kind of east. It looks like twins. They both got similar appearances on radar. They both have pretty good circulations there. So it's hard to say, but, you know, yeah, there could be, you know, like you say, 2 twin wall clouds, and there could be perhaps maybe 2 tornadoes trying to develop there. Weak ones, but they could certainly be there.
Tell me, the camera is not really handling this all too well with just how dark it is, and you know, we're getting lightning strikes, but roughly right within here is where it looked like there might have been some lowering once again. Let's zoom in here a little bit more. You see right within there, come on now, lightning. Yeah, there you go, you can kind of see it. Yeah, there's some better lowering on that back end of the leading rotation right now. Like I said, it's just kind of a waiting game with the lightning. You gotta make sure it strikes at the right time to get the visual on it. But there's plenty of lightning here, so it is good to be able to, see and get visual on these storms. You just got to kind of take them in bursts. But you know, the inflow, it's definitely still kicking. It's definitely still warm and humid. I think that back one, though, I believe that one's kind of pulling in a bit more of a cooler inflow. The front edge feels like it's pulling in more of a warmer and more of a tropical feel to that inflow on the front edge. But the back edge, as I sat there and waited for that one, it kind of felt like it was getting a little bit cooler. But now, of course, that's going to happen as you are on the backside of the storm. But thought that was worth noting for you, Ken.
Well, you know, and it could be that these storms are getting ready to weaken some. We said around 10 o'clock. I don't know, that storm that's just the one, the leading one, the one that's out in front there, still has a decent couplet on it. So focus your camera. Try to focus your camera on that one if you can some. Let's see what that one looks like.
Let's see if we can get, because I'm basically turning these cameras in the dark and I have to wait for that right, a little bit. Just maybe see something right in there. Because kind of, there you can see the wall cloud right. Come on. Because you obviously wait for the lightning to strike on the back side of these storms. If you wait until they're on the front side or where the tracker is, basically you're not going to be able to see them that well. But you need them to kind of light up on the background, like a background lighting. But that's your leading edge right there, Ken. That's your leading rotation right within there. Let's see if we can get a better visual here. Yeah, you can kind of see with those lightning strikes, but again, it's just getting darker and darker. I mean, I think we're about as dark as it's going to be, but you get the idea that it's becoming obviously very difficult to see even on the cameras. But you know, I do have better visual with my eyes with the way the lightning is. So if I do see it drop or anything, of course I'll let you know.
Like on radar anyway, it's just kind of standing still over that area and really ain't moving. You know, it's hard to say. You know, you could be starting to see some outflow take over. You know, that storm. You can see the outflow boundary rushing south, but that storm looks to me like it's on the northern edge of the outflow boundary. So, but we are watching that here pretty close. Let's see what time it is here. Hey, do you think if this is a national break, do you think we can quickly go real fast before we go into this could be the last little update if we can do that, please, Jeff, if you're listening, just quickly jump on, jump off. Yeah, let's pop on real fast. So just go radar, then we'll go Cameron.
This is a severe weather alert from the First Alert Weather Team, sponsored by Texoma Storm Shelters.
All right, so fortunately we haven't had any confirmations of anything touching down, but we have had a couple of funnel clouds that have gotten close there, really on either side of Hollister there. The storm continues to show signs of some decent rotation just northeast of Hollister. That's where our warning remains in effect, but the overall appearance of the storm may be trying to weaken a bit. But that's our tornado warning. There's also another tornado warning up here in western parts of Comanche, but that storm has weakened quite a bit. I think the one that we need to watch the most is between Hollister and Loveland. Let's go to the Comanche Nation Entertainment First Alert Storm Tracker. Cameron, we've been tracking wall clouds and funnel clouds on our 24/7 news channel and on Facebook Live. What do you got right now?
Yeah, Cam, been tracking 2 wall clouds, and as of right now, we've been watching those 2 wall clouds. We have one on the front end, one on the back, and right now the camera is pointing at the front end, if you can see it, which just depends on the lightning strikes. But we've watched as a couple funnels have tried to come down, but as quickly as they come down, they quickly go back up. So it's not able to get to the surface quite yet, but this looks like it's getting a little bit further away from me on the north side. So what I'm about to do, Ken, is keep moving down I-70 alongside, and I have an option to cut a little bit north into the storm to get a little closer shot while also staying out of the rain. So if it does try to produce anything, or if I do see a funnel cloud dropping, I'll let you know.
All right. So, but anyway, that's what we're tracking right now. While these storms continue to kind of drift, they're not moving very quickly. They're producing a lot of rain, a lot of lightning. There's some heavy rain and storms into the Lawton area now. I'm not concerned about tornadoes there, and I'm not too concerned about any type of circulation, at least as of right now, there into the western parts of Comanche County. I don't see it. Still that circulation, though, eastern Tillman County, and that is moving and kind of drifting east and southeast. So places in eastern Tillman, maybe towards Loveland, you know, keep an eye on this. Of course, we're watching it. We've been live on the 24/7 news channel, which is 6.4, and on Facebook Live. We're going to go back to programming now, and we'll have the latest updates coming up on News Channel 6 at 10 o'clock here in a few minutes.
This has been a severe weather alert from the First Alert Weather Team, sponsored by Texoma Storm Shelters.
All right, so we're still here on the 24/7 channel, but I am going to have to maybe take a bit of a break because I've got to go get dressed and ready for the 10 o'clock newscast here. Cameron, you're going to stay put where you're at right now, but we are going to drop off of coverage for just a little bit. We'll have the latest coming up on News Channel 6 at 10 o'clock tonight, and then if these storms are still going on after that, we'll do some stuff afterwards. So, but the time right now is about 9:40. We're still watching these storms. They're really not doing anything different than they have been doing. So if you're up there in Tillman County, I think you're going to be all right. But, you know, most of the circulations are just producing funnel clouds and wall clouds, and we really hadn't seen much touch the ground. But, of course, Cameron is out there. If he sees anything, he'll let me know. We can always jump back on and let you know what is what. So let's go back. Let's go off of the 24/7 news channel. I'm also going to drop our Facebook Live coverage at this time. But we